everyone you bring it out to and show it to, and they're just like, oh my gosh, the pictures do not do that one justice. And I was like, yeah, I know. I didn't even put a score on there, because it's like, deer put it 212, and oh geez, what kind of tape are you using?
Yeah. That's funny. That's exactly what we all do too. We all look at this, we're like, no way, that's that. Nah, guy's an idiot.
Right.
HUNTR Podcast is brought to you by DeerGro.
Man, hard to believe, but DeerGro has been the sponsor that's been there since the beginning of the HUNTR Podcast. Back in 2021, I think that they were the only partner that we had, but it's such a cornerstone brand and set of products for our food plot strategy throughout the year.
No doubt. And it seems like we used to have an off season, but not so much anymore. It's like when the hunting season ends, it really rolls right into food plot season, habitat projects, all of the above. And the Plot Start and Plot Boost have been there since the very beginning. That's a cornerstone for all of our plots. The Plot Start goes on at the beginning, Plot Boost goes on midway through. And since they came out with all of the fertilizers, that gets mixed in with the Plot Boost application as well. And I can't believe the results that we've been getting out of that.
Yeah, it's been awesome. Like I said, it's all the work now that really produces the results in the fall. So right now, anyone listening to HUNTR Podcast can use code HUNTR, HUNTR, for 15% off any of the products at DeerGro.com.
Better food plots, bigger deer.
And we're back.
Ew.
HUNTR Podcast, episode 274.
There you go.
Nick is keeping us in line.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's 274
Yeah,
for sure.
That's right.
One of these days I'll be way off.
Hey.
Swammy.
That's okay.
Way off.
You're allowed to be off.
That's like the responsibility I take. I'm like, open.
It's your one job.
Number,
get the number right.
And that's, other than that, no plans.
Yeah, and then that keeps me in line to say, hey, thank you guys for being here. Whether you're listening on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, we appreciate you tuning in. We drop these episodes every Tuesday and Thursday night at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. If you give us a like, follow, subscribe, one of those on any given channel is going to notify you as to when these episodes drop.
Mm-hmm.
If you've written us on Instagram DM or the website, those are the two we check the most frequently. Appreciate you guys reaching out. We try diligently to keep up with those. We have some new merch on the website, a couple new designs. I threw them out on Instagram the other day. Yep. And you can use code HUNTR, HUNTR, on any of our partners' websites for a discount some way, shape, or form.
Yep.
So, other than that,
here we go. We're recording this on the 18th. I think it's dropping sometime next week.
I like those. I don't know what you call that. A melodic a timing dropping. And other than that,
here we go. There we go. It's the drop. Drop the beat.
I like those. Yeah.
Well, we've been talking about it for now. I mean, if this is airing, I know that Ohio opener is either about to happen or has just happened. Not real sure, depending on when Nick drops these all in. And I am either at or finishing my elk hunt. Mm-hmm. And we've got a cool guest today who's also elk hunting.
A slightly different pace.
Different pace.
Interesting contrast.
Although I could see myself eating ice cream in the morning as well.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Now that he's been in, we've got Lee Lakosky on today.
Yeah.
So now that Lee's kind of opened up the Pandora's box of ice cream in the morning, after you're out chasing elk. I get it.
I love it. Yeah, dude.
Sounds like a key
that's
thing.
living the dream.
I might have to.
Didn't even shoot a bull. I think I'll treat myself to some ice cream.
I might have to have some ice cream in the freezer during elk camp here coming up next week. But so we've been looking forward to this for a while and just happened to catch Lee while he's out at elk camp as well. But it'd be cool to catch up with him and talk. Really, I'm intrigued about kind of what he's got going on out there and the progress that he's seeing. And he's definitely taken a shining, I would say, to the elk side of things and kind of applying deer management tactics really to elk properties, which I don't really know who's doing that, if anybody.
I don't know yet, but no, that's a fair description. It's not you can never really beat the whitetail deer. I think Lee will agree once we get him on here, but it's like he's accomplished so much, and it's like there's more horizons out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, why limit yourself to just one? And it's been cool to see just from the outside looking in. I do think he's having a lot of success applying some of the same,
mm-hmm.
Especially habitat, but also herd management, tactics that we have in the whitetail space too. He's got a really cool ranch now, Montana,
yep.
I believe.
Yep.
That's where he's doing most of the stuff here. So Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Kind of foreign to us, but I think we'll
we'll ask questions and get into it and learn from it. But excited for Lee to take some time with us today, and let's bring him on. Ice cream bowl is gone. Camo is on. That means we're in business at this point.
It's getting a little windy out here. It's a little chilly, but I just have to clarify. It is 12:40 out here.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So afternoon ice cream.
Yeah, afternoon ice cream. But that means I got to hold out till noon next week for my ice cream. Yeah. So, well, man, we appreciate you taking some time and excited to kind of hear what you guys got going on out there at this farm. I mean, I know the last time, I guess when we were out there last year at your place when we were coming back from hunting, you had shown us some bull racks out there from the farm, and just hearing you talk about the property, like there was an excitement about it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because like you guys had mentioned, like we've been doing whitetail stuff for so long. I mean, it's been 30 years of managing whitetails, and you kind of figure, you're always learning more and doing more, but you figure you've taken that so far. It's like, there's not like so much to learn about that anymore. Mm-hmm. But so going into something different, it's just, there's so much to learn. So it's been really fun for me because there's whitetails here, there's mule deer here, there's bears here, there's antelope here, so all these other animals too, besides elk, that, we're trying to manage and watching them and looking at stuff. So you still have all the deer stuff here, which is fun. We saw a couple of good whitetails this morning even. But, we're just, just trying to apply those same, things we've done for whitetail for elk and mule deer and antelope and everything else out here. And it's not just one place. I got, a couple of partners that we bought stuff together. So I've got like 5 different places out here. So it's nice, just like at home, because it's like, you don't know, you can have a big one on your place, but how many years in a row is that going to happen?
Right.
So you want to have kind of diversify yourself. You'll be checking different places. They're all within the same zone out here. But just like at home, we got a dozen farms. Everyone's like, boy, you got a great farm. It's like, well, it's not one farm. You can't really do that on one farm.
Yeah.
You're not going to have, you're not going to have like a 200-inch or 180s or 90s on one farm every year. So that's why you want to have several of them. And so same thing is out here. You just don't know where a big bull or mule deer or anything's going to show up. So,
Lee, can you give us just a crash course? First, I wanted to ask roughly where in Montana, if you don't mind sharing, is like north, south, east, west. Which part of Montana are you in?
It's in the southeast.
In the southeast, gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah.
And can you give us a quick education on? We've elk hunted. I've killed 2 bulls. Jeremy's had close encounters. He's about to be in Kentucky on his first actual elk hunt. You guided one last year, so we.
Nice.
Some familiarity with elk, but not nearly to the level. We're certainly not managing for elk.
Yeah.
What is the age range and score range like that you'd expect? You'd say, hey, at 3 to 5 years old, we expect them to be around this range. We start paying attention. That's kind of what I'm asking.
Yeah, I mean, it's different than deer because they're longer. I mean, you really want to get them to 10 years old, 8 to 10, I would say. And score wise, just like deer, they can be giant at that age, and they can be 300s.
Yeah.
So it's all just genetically, but that's the only thing that we're really doing here is like we'll look at, like I mentioned to you guys earlier, we have one here. Normally, the nice thing with the genetics here, they have like great bottom ends, like the brows and the thirds. And we just saw one this morning that has, anyway, I've seen him a couple of times now. He limps pretty bad. I don't know if he got a fight or whatever. But he's got really short thirds, and that's like maybe the first bull that we've seen with shorter thirds. But he's got good everything else, and he's got like after his 4 and his 5, he's got like maybe a 10-inch inside that goes off after his 4, and then a one alongside his 5 on the other side. So he's like a 7x7. But we're just kind of going back and forth on if we should, hunt him because number 1, he's limping, and he might not make it anyway, and number 2 is just like, that's about the only bull we've seen with short thirds.
Right.
And that's usually what we have, but has going in this area of Montana is they got great big bottom ends on them, giant brows and thirds. And if you think about it, I mean, that's most of your score. Most people will look at a bull and they always just want to look at the tops.
Yeah.
But it's only 2 points. That's only 2. They got 3. You got 3 on the side, down on the bottom. So that's where your score comes from is down on the bottom. But, so we're just trying to get everything, try to shoot them like, try to get them to like 10 years old if you can. But it's a little bit different than deer because a lot of times they leave in the winter, so when they move into winter grounds, the gun season is still open, so you just don't know which ones are going to get shot after that and stuff too. But not all of them leave, because we've found that, you can't do food plots in Montana for animals, like for hunting.
Really?
Yeah. So but we still have a lot of agriculture.
Sure.
And the real nice thing about out here is that we have like at home, like in Iowa, we have like very little return on your investment. I mean, we don't have like giant fields, and so in like the fields that we have, it's a few $1,000s or whatever that we rent it out, but most of it is just food plots. So you really don't have any income. But here, you need to have cattle on it at times, because you need to get that grass down. Number one, for fire, you don't want like a huge. I mean, it's just the fires out here is like a major problem. So you want to keep that grass short, and you want to have it, but you want to have it timely. You want to have cattle out, at a certain time, like in July or whatever. You want a couple months that growing back, but you rotate them around. So you need to have them. So, but that's a good source of income. And then we have, like on one of our places, we've got like 1,000 acres of row crops up for barley and alfalfa, and we got a pivot on one of them and stuff. So it is, quite a bit of income that you're not used to in Iowa. So it's nice that you put that towards equipment and towards, putting in more fields. So what we've been doing is, since I'd rather make our money off of row crop stuff, than cattle. So most of the open stuff, or some of them, we're just putting more of it into fields. So we have, more fields and less cattle, and kind of keep the same amount of income on it. But then just those more fields, the more fields you have, the more animals come on. Just like at home, if there's food source there. But they're different because they eat grass too, just like a cow. It's not just that. So, the thing is we're just transitioning some of the open stuff from the hay fields, put them into like barley and things like that. But then, once they harvest it and bale it all up, there's always that regrowth and, stuff that comes at, this time of year, you get some of the barley regrowth and stuff that they go to. But if you have food like that, I think they'll stay, if they have enough food, they'll stay. So that's why we try to make sure they have enough grass and stuff. You keep the cattle out of there and you have tons of grass, and try to hold them here at least till like gun season's over. But, some will stay, but a lot of them will leave, kind of like mule deer too. You can't, it's hard to keep them on. So it's a little bit different than that, but it's surprising how many bulls that we see from year to year that keep coming back, so they do. Whether they stay here or not, I'm not sure, but a lot of them come back. So you see them from year to year. And when I shot last year, we had pictures of them for, the previous, since 2021.
Yeah.
So
Lee, how much like topography is out there? Like when I think elk, I think like, a mountain range essentially comes to mind, but you're talking about a lot of agriculture. Is that spliced in with some topography, like some hill country or?
Yeah, it's you got like, that's the way like a lot of Montana is. You think it's like flat, and then you go like to the Snowy Mountains or the Bull Mountains, and they're just like a mountain range coming out of the prairie.
Yeah.
And it's not like all mountainous till you get like towards the Rockies and stuff. But like here, it's really hilly, and then it'll be flat, and then it'll be hilly and stuff. It's beautiful. When you look at it, but there's, we have a bunch of flat ground, and then like the mountain stuff on the ends of it and stuff. So I think that's really why a lot of these bulls here get as big as they do, because it's pretty easy, terrain for them to get around in. They have all the food. There's lots of alfalfa fields everywhere, not just on ours, everywhere, and pivots and stuff like that. So they have great food here, like all summer. And then like I said, it's not high ground. It's pretty, it's easy going for them. So even when you go like in like the Bull Mountains or Snowy Mountains here, they're going up those mountains, it's like a lot steeper and stuff. And then coming down, and they don't, it's mostly, there's fields over there too, like along the Muscle Shell rivers and all that kind of stuff. But these bulls in this area just seem to be like couple 100 pounds heavier. There's bigger body
Wow.
than there. And I think it's just that, that maybe it's just lower ground. It's easier terrain for them and better food.
Yeah.
So you think of like the mountains and stuff for, like Colorado and stuff for elk. I mean, but it's not like a huge mountain range. They're just small mountain ranges. And then there's a lot of them, a lot of ditchy stuff. And let's face it, elk originally were prairie animals.
Right.
And it's got moved to the mountains. So they don't mind being out in the open and out in, just little ditchy things. But they're just, the state's got, giant bulls.
Yeah.
People, I think people know that, but there's different areas of the state. It's kind of like having North Dakota and Iowa and Kansas and everything all within one state, because there's some areas that, like you go like the whitetails, like you think about in Montana, they kind of like the North Dakota one, they seem to get to like 150 and kind of top out. That might be like a lot of like 8 points, and they top out like at 150s. Not that you can't get a giant one, but they're kind of more of those, like the Dakota strain. They're not, you don't get
right
a ton of 170s and stuff in North Dakota and stuff, maybe in certain areas, maybe, but in general. But that's kind of like a lot of these places here, like the bulls, they'll get to like 360 or 370. It's kind of where they top out.
Yep.
And so that's what you can kind of expect. And not that just like North Dakota for whitetails, you can get a 200 anywhere. You can get a 400 anywhere here. But really in that southeast side over here is basically like having like Iowa and Kansas. There's lots of 400s that are taken out there.
Right on.
Yeah, so it's weird. You got to kind of know if you're buying something or looking for something in Montana. There's lots of elk in lots of places, but there's the really big ones is only in certain areas. And like I said again, not that you can't get a big one anywhere, just like you can get a big whitetail anywhere. But for the most part, they're going to top out at like 360s and stuff in a lot of the places.
Yeah. What is a top end bull, Lee? Like what is what's a 200-inch whitetail, in the elk world?
I'd say it's 400 basically.
Yeah.
To me, but for most people, maybe they would say like a 200-inch whitetail, maybe like a 380 or 390 maybe. 400's
really big.
Pretty big.
It's a giant.
Pretty rare one to get, In certain areas like here, there've been quite a few 400s, but you look at the whole United States, there's not any place that's just pumping out 400s.
I don't know if you saw the other day, Greg Ritz put a video out and they killed a 424 here in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
On the governor tag.
Yeah. Yeah, with places like that, again, it's just like there you can get genetically giant ones. Like Kentucky has 400s. You can have.
I'm looking for one next week.
Right. I know it. They're, they just need food and easier terrain.
That's exactly what it is. Like at least in Kentucky, like the winters aren't bad. It was funny. 2 years ago when I was down there guiding my wife's uncle, I watched these bulls just eat kudzu, and people were like, why were they doing it? And I'm like, you have to understand the amount of protein that's in that kudzu and how digestible it is. And I'm talking like acres and acres and acres of it on these hillsides. But like most people look at that and they're like, well, it's kudzu, it's everywhere. But it's like an unbelievable food source for them.
Right. And like I said, it's not, just like the mountains here, just like you go to Pennsylvania and it's mountainous, but it's not like a 10,000 feet mountainous and super rugged all the time. They can get to easier stuff for easier winters and stuff. And same, like I said, Kentucky and here when you're in the southern part and the eastern side where it's more flat and it's lower altitude, so it's warmer. And then when it's open, it gets, most of the time if it snows, it gets blown off, and so they can get at grass a lot easier than they can in the mountains and stuff. So it's, it's kind of ideal for them. And they're like, you talk to people here, and even when 20, 30 years ago there were elk here, but not very many, and they've just kind of taken off.
Well, that's what I was going to ask, Lee. What is that population like? Is it like, are you at a point where you're like, we can hold more animals, or are you at a point where it's like we need to manage that?
We could hold a lot more because in those places, like we have other places that I have for friends of mine when they come, because in like 590 is a way easier area to draw
Mm-hmm.
And so like my buddy Brantley Gilbert is coming tonight. He's leaving today and he's going to be here like tomorrow.
Yep.
But I just have to put in like for 590s because you can get those and like in those areas like along the Muscle Shell and like the Bull Mountains and stuff. There's just tons of elk. I mean, if you owned a place there, I mean, you could bring, 10 buddies and kill 10 bulls and you never even notice it.
Wow.
Because there's just a lot of them. But here, the numbers are way less here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I don't really even have anybody like my buddies put in for this area because it's harder to draw. But it's one of those places where I don't really want to shoot more than 1 or 2 maybe on any one of ours down here. So you want your places for our buddies to come and hang out and have a great time and see a bunch of elk and stuff. But I don't want to, have a bunch of people like in this ranch I'm on right now. You might shoot 1 or 2, and not that there's not a few other big ones, but I just like to see them get another year older.
Mm-hmm.
There's only a couple of real old ones, and there may be, and then I don't have any like giant ones this year. I know there's giant ones in that. I've heard of a real big one in the area, but we haven't seen them yet. But the biggest one we've seen is maybe 380 or 390. But I mean, that's still huge. I mean, how many people get to even see that? But
do you think the lower population on that one that you're on now can help contribute to having some of those bigger antlers from a social stress?
I think so too. I think exactly. That's where I look at it, like in whitetails, because
exactly.
EHD sucks, but our best years are like those, like the couple of years after. Man, I think there's just less social stress and social pressure on them.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got, we got a bunch of cows on here this year, probably more than we've ever had. And so we probably got 5 or 6, I see like mature bulls. And of those 5, there's maybe, 3 that are just kind of junk. They're not great genetically. And maybe 2 that are really good genetics. And then we just had a couple others come in that are big, like the 380 type, but there's like a bunch of young ones coming in, and they're really good young ones coming in. But so I mean, you probably could have like one buddy or something, because there's always like some old bull that's not, and even like when I say like management bulls, they're still 350s, some of which are bigger than a lot of places, so they're still big. But like I said, I don't want like we wouldn't come here and shoot 5 or 6 bulls, even though it's a big place. I mean, that would be every one of your big ones. I mean, a good example would be like the one I shot last year. I mean, he was like a 400-inch bull in 21, and then in 22 he went down. That he got injured, and he went to like a 5-point on the one side, and the next year he came back to a 6-point, but he still wasn't as big as he was in 21. And then he just blew up last year. But I think a lot of these could do that if they got to, like, we figured that bull was probably like a 12-year-old bull.
Wow.
But just like in whitetails, like people think they're mature at 5, man. They've got a 200 at 5. Well, yeah, but at 7 he might be 240. But who's letting them go to 7? But that's just like some of those things, other than Skip. But he's one person.
Yeah, he's one.
Yeah, but it's the same thing with elk, because it's like, okay, I see some of these big ones, but that doesn't mean we want to go kill all of them. I mean, like to shoot one that I think is, maybe doesn't have that potential to do that, and let's shoot that one and let's leave the other ones.
Yeah.
And we had one last year that we left that was kind of like that, but he hasn't come back. So I mean, he like maybe got killed in gun season or something else. But there's a lot of them that come back if they're alive. So you just kind of, I don't know, it's just like anywhere you go. Once you get that management mentality, you've been doing it for 30 years. Even when we go caribou hunting, caribou hunting just like the first time for mountain caribou, and the same thing. You're just looking at it and you're like, that one's kind of young, but man, he's got great tops and stuff, but he doesn't quite have it on the bottoms. You're just looking at stuff like that, and you just get so lucky. Like I shot the one last year, it'd be like a new world record with a bow if I didn't split the skull, but we couldn't get it on the plane. But I don't really care about that much. But we scored it there. We scored it after. I officially scored after. Just put it back together. Yeah, it would be basically the new world record with a bow in velvet. But so I don't really care that much about that. But it's more like, hey, there's a giant one that looks like the kind that you want. But if you were just if you didn't have that mentality, I would have shot one by the first day because they're all over. But I'm same thing. I just want to take inventory. I want to look at all of them. I want to see which one looks Okay, what do you consider a real big one? What do you consider an old one? And, talking to the guide about that, and then looking at it myself, and then like, oh, geez, finally the last day I was like, oh, there's one that's like a notch above everything we've seen. He's like, you'll never get there. You can do it with a gun. I said, oh, yeah, watch me. Hour later, we had him on the ground.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Lee, how many years have you been at it on this ranch that you're at right now?
4.
Yeah. So early on, I mean, did you look at that and say, hey, there's a couple older age class bulls that just don't have the genetics? Like, has there been an effort to take off some of those, if you're going to call them management bulls?
No, not really. Because there's only been this like Tiffany. Well, the first year, Tiffany and I both hunted, and actually neither one of us shot one the very first year. And then the second year she didn't get drawn and I did. This because we hadn't even bought anything yet. Mm-hmm. We were just in the process of it. But I just got lucky and drew with no preference points. So that's it. They had leftovers in 590. So she hunted our other place that we have in 590, and then I hunted here and shot the one. But even some of those management bulls, we see them back again, and then like now this year, some of those are not here. So I mean, they kind of come and go too. But like I said, the numbers aren't super high. But every year I've been here, there has been like a management bull or two that you'd say he just doesn't have it. Whether it's just the height, the mass, width, something. He has short, small bottom end or something. There's always been a couple of those that you could bring. You could have somebody shoot them, but I just soon there's just not that many here, and I just soon leave the ones that are. And a lot of it too is just trying to keep low pressure on it. Elk are a lot spookier. Like you can bump a whitetail and they go a couple 100 yards and dive in again, but these things they can go. You bump them hard and they can go 5 miles. And, if they go someplace where there's food, they just don't come back. I mean, they may eventually, but, if you had all the food and somebody else didn't, they'd probably come back within a couple of days. But here, everybody's got food. I mean, we have alfalfa fields and stuff, but so does everybody else. So you bump them onto somebody else's, they might just stay there for a week. And then basically, that's... can be the whole time you're hunting out there. I mean, not for a lot of people, not for us. We just stay out here till we shoot one. But
what's the hunting pressure like around there? Like, I guess you mentioned you've heard there's like a really big one around. Are you communicating with neighbors? Is it public around you? Like, what's that situation?
Oh, there's lots of public around us.
Yeah,
lots of the forest and BLM stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, because one of our big ones, like last year, he was limping real bad, called Gimpy. Opening day, somebody shot him on the forest right on our fence line. He came onto ours, so he came and got us, and which was good that he came and talked to us anyway. And so we went out there and helped him get it and stuff. But yeah, it was like a 380.
Gotcha. So there's
a lot of. I mean, there's people hunting all around us, But it's again, it's in a zone that's harder to draw, so it's just not
right.
It's a trophy area, so that's with us owning, when we own land, you can get a tag, and a landowner tag is pretty easy if you own 2,500 or more.
Gotcha. That's what I was going to ask for you guys. What's that look like? Like we talk about, obviously Illinois or Kansas, you can get landowner tags and stuff. Similar, you have to have 2,500 acres or more.
Yeah, to get the elk deer combo.
Okay.
And then but if you drew that and had 640 or more, say if you didn't have 2,500, if you had 640. Then you can get like a landowner, the permit area, because it's like you get the general elk and deer tag, but then there's the special permit areas.
Gotcha.
So, but then like with 640, you get a landowner permit, and that usually, that's like 100%
Gotcha.
Getting that. So if you had 640, then you just have to worry about drawing for the elk deer combo, and then you always get your permit area. But but we have quite a bit more than 2,500, so we can get the elk deer combo and put in for a landowner permit. And for gun, you wouldn't get it every year. But for archery, at this point, you do.
Yeah. Lee, how much of the elk, space, if you're going to call it that, like how is it divvied out in that part of Montana between private versus public land?
And one of our places that we have is that whole area is almost all private. And I know that they were even talking about splitting some of those up. I can't remember the numbers, like 702 and 705 are the areas that I have stuff in. And like in that 702, I believe they said it's like it's almost all private. And the elk numbers were getting pretty high there. So they were saying, do we put that area on a different draw lane that's easier to draw to get some of those numbers down? But then the thing is, it doesn't really help you because it's all landowners. They're not necessarily going to let everybody in there to hunt it anyway. Yeah. So they're like, well, we should, or do something where you give landowners like extra cow tags or something like that, which is better because I think it's always better to keep things big instead of making things smaller and smaller.
Yep.
And for me personally, it would be nice because it's still within the same 700 zone that I have all of my places. But if they took that one off, that would be one of our ranches that I got a lot of money invested into. That I'd only be able to hunt one or that one or the other three down here. And so I always just feel like, I think for the residents here, it used to be like a 900 tag, and it was like almost the whole state for archery.
Wow.
And then they started, and they had to do something because, like I said, everybody could get it. Even me, I used to hunt here all the time. Mm-hmm. But you can hunt the whole state, but everybody piled into certain areas where all the biggest elk were.
Right.
So they were all just knocking it. It was like taking too many out of those certain areas. So they had to split it up into, make some trophy areas that are harder to draw. And so you understand that because you don't, same thing as like in Iowa, they could say, well, hey, we'll give out 600 or 6,000 tags for just the state. Well, nobody hunts in the northern part, really. I mean, it's just wide open. Everybody, all 6,000 people will be piled into, only several little areas.
Right.
And so it's kind of the same thing. And so now I think it's at a good mix, because you could still, for residents, they're still fairly easy to draw those tags. As a resident, you always get an elk tag. And there's lots of general areas that you don't. And so they at least have that. And then if you get drawn for your permit area, like there's tons of forest around us and stuff. So there's lots of space for people to hunt that do get drawn. But I think just making it smaller and smaller would make it harder and harder on people because a lot of people that I know out here have places all over with it. They get knock on doors and they got public stuff. They want to go try different spots. You start making stuff smaller and smaller. It just kind of limits to where they can go too. Mm-hmm. So, it's always just like everything. Everybody's got an opinion on it, what they think they should do. But I think it's set pretty good right now. And I think in some of those smaller areas where it's all private, they'll probably just have to go to those private landowners and give like extra cow tags or even like, if you shoot, if you could take 5 people with cows will give you one extra bull tag or something that you can give to a friend or something. They'd have to do something like that because I think you make it easier to draw those. What difference does it make if there's no public there anyway?
Yeah.
There might be people that let some people on, but I think a lot of those people have them for, hunt themselves too.
Controlled.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What's the predator situation like out there?
There really isn't. There's some mountain lions here and there and bears, but tons of coyotes, but they aren't going to bother, much, than antelope maybe when they're born and stuff like that. But, even the mountain lions, there's not a lot. I've never even seen one or seen a track, but I know people tell me that
black bears, not grizzlies in that area?
No.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, I mean, that's again, another, you start talking about those stress factors. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, there's a couple of black bears, we see on it.
Yeah.
See them out once in a while.
Yeah.
Rolling around in your cattle tanks. But
Interesting that there's not many grizzlies. Like,
I think
you basically hear, like, if you're going to go to Montana, like, just be prepared to come face to face with a grizzly is pretty much what you hear.
Yeah, and in Wyoming all the time, too, like place. But I think it's on the western side. The eastern side doesn't have them. Yeah. I'm sure there's some, like in Montana on the western side, but on the eastern, I think it's just open. But that doesn't even matter. Like, there's grizzly bears in Alberta where we just got back. It's just like wide ass open.
Yeah.
They're still there.
The HUNTR Podcast is brought to you by Hoyt.
Should be no surprise to anyone listening to this that back with Hoyt another season. I'm actually going to be shooting the AX2 aluminum this year.
You traitor.
But you're still going RX9.
Yeah, blacked out as always.
Blacked out. Big surprise for everyone.
80 pounds. Big surprise. Yeah.
But seriously, man, I mean, it shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. Every year, it seems like we get a new Hoyt bow in our hands, and they're always a step above the last and just a step above everybody else.
Yeah, they're so consistent, man. Just their processes get better, every year. And we've really been excited about, as we've grown with Hoyt, we've brought some others in with us. And we just feel like the Hoyt family is growing, like the community, and we're really excited about the people that are involved, excited to be a part of that company. And it's really awesome.
So for anyone that's excited about Hoyt like Jared and I are, you can use the code HUNTR, HUNTR, on Hoyt.com.
Get serious, get Hoyt. Dude, speaking of that was a freaking monster you killed up there.
Yeah, I saw it.
I know it.
Yeah.
Oh, I got so lucky on that.
You don't have that. Well, I guess you leave them there, huh? I was gonna say you don't have the rack.
No, I have it with me. I wasn't letting that one go.
Yeah. You put a tape on them yet, or I didn't see if you put that on your post there or what?
Yeah, I didn't put it on there, but I had Corey did it first. A friend of ours, Corey Jarvis, up there.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I wonder if it's right. So I did, and I got the exact same thing, but it's been dried out now with the bell. But I inject it and stuff, so it's probably a little less than that now. But it's a pig. That thing just totally surprised me, because my buddy Jory up there sent me that was like the first picture that he sent, a video of that buck, and I was like, that's a pretty nice buck. I said, he's got decent mass and stuff, but he's definitely a big mature deer. I mean, it's an old deer. And I was like, man, I'd shoot that one. But you kind of want to look at a bunch of other stuff. And then he sent in other pictures and stuff. And then when we got out there, he said he hadn't seen that one again in 3 weeks or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then we never saw it for the first 4 days. I was looking for it, but we just never saw it. And then bang, there he showed up. And
wow.
And when, I was thinking that it was maybe, because he's got that one short 4, and it's just kind of a little curly 4. And I was like, if he had that other 4, he'd be in the 90s, but I think he's a high, like a mid to high 80s type deer anyway, with the frame and mass and stuff. And when you got him on the ground, it was like, oh my gosh, this thing is so big. It's the biggest. Pictures can't really do it justice, even when it maybe looks big in a picture. When you hold it in your hand, it's got 7-inch bases and 29-inch beams. I mean, when you see like a 29-inch beam on a mule deer, But it was 212 when we.
Wow. Freaking A, man. That's awesome.
You guys grinded on that. I saw a couple posts where those mornings it was just fog, like you couldn't see 5 feet in front of you.
Right. I mean, to me, those deer are fairly easy to, to stalk out there, because there's way more terrain than you think. There's so much, ditches and hills. I mean, even though it looks completely flat, it looks like, man, there's nothing out here. It's way more ditchy and stuff than you think. You can always, get around those, the terrain, use the terrain on those. So, but yeah, that one, it was funny because Tiffany and I were talking about it, and I was like, man, I just like doing, and it just sucks because we didn't get drawn out here for antelope, because we didn't get drawn last year. And I kind of think that my buddy Wayne didn't put us in, forgot, and just said, no, you must not have gotten drawn. Because if we were going to put in for Landowner, we got tons of antelope on it. It's like, let's just put in for the Landowner antelope. And he's like, oh no, you'll get drawn for sure. And then we can hunt, on all this other stuff that he's got, and he's got some really good antelope stuff where we shot him before. It's okay. And then so we didn't get drawn. Like, I put in George and John Hoyer and all these, but everybody got drawn except for us. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. So I kind of think that he probably just didn't put us in last year because usually you'll get drawn at least every other year. But we always like starting out like with antelope, because you shake the rust off with that. Yeah. And people think that you're gonna be, I've been hunting for 40 years. I pick it right up now. You always make some kind of mistakes earlier that, even though you can think about it all you want, I'm going to do this, do this. That first time is when you'll make a mistake on something, and then from there, once you make that mistake, okay, I'm never doing that. And then it's in your head fresh, man, I just shot too fast, or I did this, or I did that, or whatever. And we were just kind of laughing about it. And it was just like, sure as crap, both of us kind of, had mistakes on the first ones too. And like Tiffany we got like 30 yards of of this, a giant one. I mean, big. And I was, okay, now it's hard. I don't like going in that close, because when they stand up, because you're just down and we just see the tips of their antlers. But I mean, the grass out there, it's not more than 6 inches tall, so it's just terrain. So, but as soon as they stand up, okay, well then there you are, and there's a guy with a 600 millimeter lens and a tripod, and another guy with it went right over your shoulder. If you're in too close, they stand up and they whoa, and they're gone. But so I like to stalk to like 60 something, because then a lot of times when they stand up, they're gonna notice you, but you're not right in their wheelhouse.
Yeah, it's not a threat.
So they'll stand up and they'll look at that like, what's that? And they'll give you that few seconds to shoot. But we were only like at 30 on Tiffany's, the first one, and she stood up, or he stood up, and it was perfect. He was up high, and there's 2 does down below him, and so when he stood up, we couldn't even see the does, and so she comes to full draw, and he stand up. She can't see him. It's still too much curve of the hill, so it's like, just stand up, So she stood up, and now she can see it, but then I could see the 2 does caught her, and the 2 does went to run underneath him, and right as she shot, he wasn't even looking. He had no idea. He wasn't even looking at us. He was looking at the does. He just, how they duck, not because they're ducking an arrow. They duck, that's the way they run. So he just went down to turn and run, shot right over his back at 30 yards. Like, if you would have shot like 1 second earlier, or if you would have, if you would have, like for me, I could have, I saw, because I just still taller than her. So when we were sitting up looking, when he stood up, I could see like his vitals, but she couldn't. I mean, she was lower. I said, just stand up,
Yeah.
So when she could, it was, he ducked on that one.
What do you think?
Then I had another one.
What would you have done differently in that situation, Lee? How would you have changed that?
Well, I think if for her, if she couldn't see him right away, she's at full draw. She should have just popped right up, stood up, and shot.
Yeah.
She's like, I can't see him. And I was like, stand up. I mean, just that extra second of hesitating.
Yep.
Yeah.
Where she should have just at full draw, I can't see, so I got to stand up. What am I? You're not going to just let down and say, okay, I'm not going to shoot him at 30 yards. Just stand up. I mean, it doesn't matter. He's not looking your way. He's looking down at the does down there. So, and then I made a mistake for her on one of them, because you're in the grass, just crawling. We had to crawl about 500 yards to one, and so I'm just ranging. I was like, okay, it's like 75 yards, and so he finally stands up, and she shot like a foot over his back, and I was just like, what in the world? I said, your sight only goes to 75. And it's like with broadheads, she shoots phenomenally.
Yeah.
And I was like, she's not going to miss at 75. And with a broadhead, sometimes you might get a little bit low just because it has a little bit more wind resistance than a field tip or whatever at those longer yardages.
Yep.
And I was like, it can't go high. I mean, how can it?
Yeah.
So I walk out there where he was landing, I range her back, and it was 49 or 48 yards.
Oh no!
When you're on the ground, you have like no depth perception.
Yeah, that's
you're laying
the
there, and I must have just been getting because I ranged him like
just over him
a bunch of times, and it must have been going through his horns and hitting like weeds behind him or something. And I just like, oh my gosh, so just stuff like that, it's like, how does that even happen? It's just like,
But you're right. You're rusty. That's all it is. It doesn't matter how long you've been hunting. It's just like, any moves that you make, or just even detecting things, like seeing them out there or whatever. It's just, you're rusty. You just haven't, your body hasn't adapted to that mindset.
It happens like all the time.
Yeah.
And you think, heck, we hunt for a living. We do hunt 200 days a year. It shouldn't be a problem. It's like, no, you don't pick it right up. You make mistakes, that you normally wouldn't, because you just been out for 6 months or whatever since you've been hunting. And then on mine, I mean, I should have never. It was just the grace of God that I killed that thing, because it's easy. Okay, I spot him. I said, I don't know what buck it is, but it was like from a mile away through spotting scope. I could just see a big velvet frame sitting there. Well, actually, we saw a different, like a smaller one. I could see that one just glowed in the sun. It was just like had his rack right up in the sun. And then so I put my spotting scope on, and I could see another bigger rack below it. And I was like, I don't know. I said, the one, that buck is not real big, but I think there's a big one laying below it. So that was like a mile away. So we moved up to, I don't know, maybe 1,000 yards from it or something, or 800 yards. But now he had come up and laid next to the other one. So you see this big glowing yellow rack, And I was like, I don't know. It's still too far to tell with the heat waves and stuff. I was like, It's not. And I told Tiffany, I said, I'm just going to go on stock. I'll make my decision when I get there. It looks big and heavy, like a big enough frame, but I don't know which one it is or anything. But I'll just stock up there and I'll make a decision when I get there.
Mm-hmm.
So we get up there. I peek over the edge. And I see that thing. And I was like, oh, I see that little 4. I was like, it's him. It's what I've been looking for. And where he had been, that's just, you think you see them all, but man, it's just like here, elk go into this little ditch and you cannot see them. I mean, they got like in the little choke cherry stuff where it's just thick, gnarly stuff, and they lay down in there and you can't, unless they stand up, you are not seeing them. And so this was like a creek drainage, probably over 1,000 years, it's just dug, really deep. So it has like steep banks and it's just full of like that oak brush or whatever on those banks. And they were laying in that bank. So it was a perfect spot for them. I peek over the top and they're like, I don't know, 80 yards. I just crawled up a little further, like to 40, 45 yards. I'm like, okay, all I got to do is stand up. It's 45 yards. It's done deal. So, and they're down below me too. So I'm shooting down. And so the other one gets up first. So I come to full draw and then they both stand up, but he's in front of him, the other one. And then the little one starts walking away and he just turns and follows. So I'm just having like my pin right on the middle of his back. I'm like, what do I do? I mean, if it was if it was you two, anybody, if it wasn't filming, you just, okay, put it in the center of his back and shoot right
just
through his
let it
chest.
rip.
Because it's not like he was well below me. So not any different than in a tree stand having a deer right below you.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at his back, but he's way down low and they're coming up. And so I was already at full draw for a while when they're standing there at, 45 yards. Now they're walking away. And they kept going and going. I'm like, oh, what do I do? If it wasn't on camera, if it wasn't something for TV and stuff, you'd have to listen to everybody. Oh, heck, you shoot him in the back. And why don't you stop him? All those things are going through your head, which you shouldn't really even care, but I do. And so just like, just about, should I stop him? But I was like, I don't know. He's probably like at 60 yards now. So whatever. And rather than us thinking all these things to your head, what do you do? What do you do? He stops, he turns his head and looks back at us. Say, okay, well now, and it's not hardly any, but in my mind, I'm like, okay, he's kind of opening his chest up a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's just put it behind his shoulder here instead of down the back, and hopefully it'll come out in his opposite armpit.
Yep.
But looking back at it, I don't think that he even turned his body hardly at all.
It wasn't really quartering away.
All neck.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I was thinking it was maybe 60, and so I just aimed high, and I think that it wasn't. I don't think it was that far because they were just down below and they were kind of walking up.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, I shot it like and whap, and they started running. But right away, I was like, I thought it went like behind the shoulder here, maybe just came out, in the front, like he just slid it under his leg.
Yep.
And I was just like, oh, you gotta be kidding me, You just lay on my back, and I was just like, how did you blow that at 45 yards? You have this thing sitting there, and it's just like what we were talking about. I'm just like, how do you blow that? I mean, that should be dead every time. I was like, why did I even care about what people would think or anything like that? Put it straight through the back, either
right through the straps.
Come right out of his brisket. It'd be.
Yep.
Is that literally what went through your mind in that moment, Lee? Was like people are gonna judge this shot if I take it?
Yeah, because they always do.
Because they will.
Even if they will. I mean, and I shouldn't care because I don't look at it anyway.
Sure.
But I still, stuff for TV and stuff like for Outdoor Channel and stuff. They don't, they have things you don't want them to shoot stuff bedded and all that kind of stuff. But I just like, because it wasn't like he was walking away like on flat ground.
Mm-hmm.
It was just way below. I was looking right at his back, so it wasn't any different than shooting one like down,
right out of the tree
Whitetail
stand.
straight down. After that's what I was thinking. I was like, why did I care? Why didn't I just put it right in the middle of his back? I mean, he was only at 40 something yards. It would have come right out of his chest. It would have been right through his lungs and heart, and everything would have been dead in 2 seconds. And I was just like kicking myself. I was like, what in the heck am I doing? Just like, why would I make that mistake? And so you watch them running. Both of them go running. They're like 1,000 yards up there. And then they go like through a little dip, and there's like 8 bucks in there that we didn't see. And they all got up, so they kind of ran up on this hillside, and they all stopped up there. And so they're all standing up there, and then he just laid down, and he seemed like he's kind of breathing hard. And I was like, well, man, maybe I had better than I thought.
Mm-hmm.
But then Jory, my buddy up there, who's like our guide, he had been watching from farther back. He's like, no, I think he hit it in the neck. And I was like, how did I hit it in the neck? I thought it was right behind the shoulder. And he's like, oh, maybe I'm wrong, but it seems to me like it went right by his neck.
Huh.
And in hindsight, that's what it did. I was just thinking it was maybe like 60. I was aiming there, but it was he probably wasn't that much farther because he was walking uphill, just looking right at his back.
Sure.
He only went maybe 5 yards total. He probably walked 10 or 15 yards, but they were mostly going up.
Yeah, up the hill. Mm-hmm.
And so he's just sitting there, but then all the other ones walked away, and they walked over the edge, like back into that same river ditch, but just up a quarter mile or whatever. And I said, okay, well, here it goes. If he gets up and goes with them, then it's probably nothing. And sure enough, he gets up and starts walking with them. I was like, God dang it, and they go over the edge. But James, he had the big lens on, the 600 millimeter lens. He goes, Lee, I think you got him. And I was like, what are you talking about? He goes, there's blood pouring off of his brisket and stuff.
Wow.
And I was like,
wow.
And I was like, really? So then I look at, because Jory had come up and he'd gotten his phone on a spotting scope when we were sitting there watching him up there, and he's like, oh yeah, look at it. It's just like blood, like a steady stream coming out.
Right in the jugular.
It's good.
Well, it couldn't have been, because if you hit him in the jugular, I mean, I think
he would have been dead already.
10 seconds, or 2 seconds. He wouldn't have even made it up the hill.
Yeah.
So I didn't know what to think. I was like, well, they get, you hit a neck, you get any meat hit, and it's like, you'll get a lot of blood right away. But I said, I don't think like that.
Yeah.
I said, I'm not sure what the heck happened. So anyway, we're like, well, let's just go get the arrow. And the arrow was kind of like you expected. If it went like through here or anything, It had like, some greasy fat and some blood on it. But right away, there was blood right there. And it had been, if we walked like 20 yards out, and it was quite a bit of blood, like kind of, not necessarily spraying, but drops of it all over.
Huh.
So we just kind of didn't follow the blood anymore and say, well, we saw right where they went over. Let's just go and look. So I sneak up there and I look over the edge. I can see all those other bucks, because like in that creek bank, there's like series of ridges in there. And I can see them right on the spine of one of the ridges going down. I can see all 8 of them. I looked at all of them over. I said, I see all the other ones, but I don't see him. So I was like, all right, so there's a hill behind him where they were standing. So I walked up on the hill and we looked down and I said, oh, there he is. Okay, he's just one closer. All those 8 are here. He's one closer to us. He's in the pocket, not on a spine. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna sneak up to the edge, and when I come over the top, I'm just gonna draw and come over the top, because he's like at 10 yards. And I was like, I'm just gonna treat it like he's not hit, like I don't, like he's don't treat it like I think he's wounded or injured or anything. Just treat it like it's whatever. It's gonna be really close. I'm gonna draw, and I'm just gonna stand super close, and shoot right there. So I sneak up there, and I didn't draw because I thought I was gonna look at you could see his horns first. I don't see his horns there. I look at it, I was like, I don't see anything. But I look out, and those other 8 are just down feeding, and they're all looking back at me, but they're not looking at me. They're looking like down the creek, but they're just all up feeding. And then I heard this like, bah! And I was like, what the heck was that? I look over the edge, and there he is. He had rolled down the hill, and he's down there just dying. He's like, bah! Like one more time, and it was done.
Yeah.
And so we walked over there, and he was dead, and it had hit his neck, like you're saying. And if you hit the jugular vein and just cut it, severed it, it would just...
Yeah, he was dead.
He wouldn't have made it 10, he wouldn't have made it 100 yards. But what I'm guessing is that maybe, and that's what I said, that was a rage did that one for me.
Yeah.
Because
Yep. That's
it must
why.
have just been turned enough that it maybe just cut enough, like a 1/16 of an inch of that jugular or something like that, but it was coming out like a fairly steady stream, but you just couldn't stop it. It wasn't going to ever stop, but it didn't cut the whole thing. That would be my guess.
That's the beauty of big expandables.
Yes, and that's why for deer especially, I never would use anything else. But I said, over and over, I said, well, this rage did this one for me, because I sure screwed that up.
That's crazy,
myself,
man.
But I'm just like, oh my God, how could you get so lucky on something like that where you just feel like you jacked it up? I didn't deserve it, because it's like, God, it was stupid. And then you get there, and I walked up on that thing. I was like, oh my gosh.
Monster.
I had no idea it was that big. It was until you hold the rack in your hand, like everybody, they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't think it was this big. And I said, I know it. I'm telling you, it's like 7 inches on the bases, like 6.5 on the next ones. And then when you go around the base of the 2 there, it's 5.5, and then like 6 and 3 out there, and then like 29-inch beams, and like 19-inch twos, and so, I mean, it's just
Was
it's
it
a
his
monster.
body that just kind of dwarfed the rack a little bit, like just put it in proportion?
I think so, because like we never saw him with any other deer out there. I mean, the one video that he had him, he was just by himself.
Right.
And now 2 years ago, I shot one up there, and I mean that body, like I do it in October, and they're kind of getting a rut, and they are monsters.
Yeah.
And I brought one that it was a big wide one with the drop time, but it was like the biggest body I'd ever seen on something. I remember just taking pictures, but even like pictures on that don't do it justice, you know? And so I brought into my buddy Tim up there, has a meat market. And, you know, so I brought it in there and stuff. We went in and just BS with them in his shop or something, but just like one of his workers, you know, hung it up and stuff. So I'm driving home and he's like, Lee, he goes, dude, send me a picture of that deer. And I was like, okay. And I was like, well, why? And he goes, I've been here for 20 years, and the heaviest deer I've ever had in here, just carcass. I mean, it's no head, horns, feet, guts, nothing. It's just, you know, all the feet cut off and you just bring it in there to process it. He goes, it was 220. This is 223 without anything. And I was like, yeah, I mean, but he said that's the biggest body deer he'd ever had in there. So they do have that, you know, huge body genetics. I'm assuming that this deer was probably, you don't notice it like that, because what you notice is their neck is this big around, you know?
Exactly.
And so his neck was still skinny, but I'm assuming that his body is just monstrous compared to him. But I didn't really compare him and you get to see him next to anything else. But even I show people the video footage and they're like, yeah, I wouldn't have ever pictured that being 212, but you don't realize the mass on the thing.
Yeah.
And the length of the beams, really.
Do you guys get to weigh them before getting them like to the meat market very often? Like, do you know what they are on the hoof or field dressed or anything like that?
No, we probably could. I mean, we could. Like at Tim at his meat market, we could bring them in there and weigh them, but I never really do.
I mean, I assume most of those
are
like, those big ones are like 320 plus.
Yeah. I mean, sure, that one would have been 320s or 330 or whatever.
That's a monster.
Oh yeah, I mean it's like to me it looked like twice the size of a whitetail. Really.
Yeah, that's what's crazy.
They're just across the backs and necks and stuff. They're just so big.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one just totally surprised me, and I was just sitting there and I was just like, I didn't even know what to say. I was like, I had no clue that this deer was like this big. Even when I stand there looking at it, you're like, oh yeah, it's a good one until you get your hands on it. And things like 15 pounds you're holding it. You're like, oh my God. Jeez. Everyone you bring it out to and show it to, and they're just like, oh my gosh, the pictures do not do that one justice. And I was like, yeah, I know it. I thought I didn't even put a score on there, you know, because it's like, it's here to put it 212, and oh geez, what kind of tape will you use?
Yeah. That's funny. That's exactly what we all do too. We all look at this. We're like, no way, that's that. Nah, guy's an idiot.
Right. Yeah, use the inch side, not the centimeter side.
Yeah. That's right.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would have never guessed. I mean, I thought he was in the 80, maybe high 80s. And even at the time when we had him on the ground, everyone's like, oh my gosh. And I was like, I'd probably 196 or something. But in my mind, I was like, it's 200. There's no question.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't assuming 7 inches on the base.
That's
like
insane.
6 and 5, stuff like that. So when Jory did it first, he said 212 and something. And I was like, I still got to do it myself. I'm not going to tell anybody it was 212. And then I did it really tight myself. I gave it 212 and 1/8. And I was like, holy cow, I guess it is.
Wow. That's a stud, man. Well, don't take this question too seriously, because it's just meant in fun here. But like after an experience like that, if you had to choose between mule deer hunting and elk hunting, and you can only pick one,
it would be mule deer.
Yeah,
I mean, I love elk and stuff too.
Interesting. That's not what I expected from you, honestly.
I know it, but everybody asked me that too, and I asked Tiffany, and mule deer is my favorite. Almost more than like whitetails, because I get to hunt whitetails all the time. If it was only like one, it'd be like, no, it'd be whitetails. But dude, I just like the cat and mouse game on it, like the chess match.
Yeah,
because it's trying to figure them out. But like, so elk now for me is more like mule deer, because you're spotting, and we're basically spotting them, getting embedded and stalking them. And so that's what I like about it. Like in the past, like when we would go out to Utah and stuff, there's a lot of bulls in different places. It was this more like a bull in a china shop. There was no rhyme or reason to it. You just call and they'd come screaming in. It's like fast. It wasn't like a lot of strategy to it.
Sure.
Yeah.
It was just, okay, call, and okay, you didn't know what it was. You hear one screaming, and it's kind of coming. You try to get in front of it, and you make your decision when you saw it, if it was big enough or not. And it was always kind of, fast, and you just walk in, calling, and getting them to answer, and trying to get close, and calling them in, and stuff. So there wasn't a lot of. I mean, that's a strategy, but it's not like, okay, there he is. How are we going to get this thing? What's the chess match on this? How is he going to move? When he gets up, he goes this way. What am I going to do? And I just love that about it. And that's what I like about whitetails too, but like mule deer, the point that where you can see them a lot more, So it's like, okay, is that even a place I can even get to?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think I haven't killed nearly to the caliber of either species, but I have killed both, and I think my mentality is exactly the same.
I agree.
When I shot those elk, I was like, that was awesome. That was fun. You know what I mean? It was an adventure for sure. The horse aspect was cool, and we did all this, and
just hearing them screaming and stuff is awesome. I mean,
it was fun.
About it is awesome, but it's like I said, it's more just luck. Which one you're calling, which one comes, or which one you hear a bunch bugling. So let's go try that one. It's not like as much strategy involved. And
and the muleys do give you that, just like a whitetail. You can put a strategy together. You can tell who's who, and you can make a move. And you gave us Corey's number there. We owe him a call. Jeremy and I've been scheming on something like that for several years now.
I think the cool thing on the mule deer stuff, and it sounds like you're in the same boat now on your elk side, Lee, but like when we're mule deer hunting, like I feel like from sunup to sundown, I'm hunting. Like I'm busting my butt, my brain's spinning. Like, when I get done, even if I don't tag anything that day, I'm like, boy, I hunted hard today. And like, the tree stand aspect of whitetail is like, there's a strategy, and I mean, I love it. It's what I bleed, but it's a different feeling than coming home at the end of a day or going back to camp after muleys, and you're like, boy, we busted it today, and man, we were in them.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I just tell people all the time. I mean, I say, just go hunt everything you can, because it's all different and it's all awesome, and it just makes you so much better hunter. Because there's times like last year, I just said, we had a whitetail, but it was with a shotgun in Illinois, and it was like, it's too far. It's at 300 yards. I was like, we've been stalking stuff for 60 days before this whitetail season. Why would I think I got to sit here? He's got around. We stalked into like 90 yards, just stood up and threw it on my shoulder and shot him. And it was like, why would you think that we can't stalk them like we do everything else? And especially to get within 100 yards of the thing, so it makes you so much better. And that's why I really like antelope, because they're so hard. They got such good eyesight, and just crawling on those things, using any bit of terrain, and laying flat on your back, and then just like drawn sideways when he stands up, and then just sit up and shoot fast and stuff. I mean, all those things just make you so much better at, for what we do. We do whitetails, but it just makes so much a better shot. Like when there was when we first started, most people weren't like 40 yards was too far for a whitetail. Right. It's like, it was too far. It was out of range. It's like 40 yards is like a chip shot out west. You've got to be prepared to be shooting 80 to 100 yards, especially like on sheep hunts, like 100 to 130 even sometimes. And it's like, now when you do that stuff, your whitetail stuff is like, I don't shoot as far out, for whitetails as you do out west, but like 50 is nothing. I mean, I'd be like, well, that's close. Let's just shoot them now. What are we waiting for?
Yeah.
So it makes you so much better like shooter, and you have to be a way better shot to be hunting out west, and just teach a whole different style of hunting that you just use it in other places.
Yep.
It just makes so much better.
The HUNTR Podcast is brought to you by Predator Camo.
Man, this one feels good, right? I know people have been looking at this picture over your shoulder for a while now. I think that was 2018, but we just, over the last, how many years, keep coming back to Predator Camo because it's been so damn good for us.
No doubt. I think we bought our first set off of Jen at the Archer Trade Show almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And Jen's still with the company, and the patterns have, only improved since then. They actually were recently acquired within the past couple of years. We've had a chance this past year to go and meet with new ownership, talk about redesigning a lot of the old lines, plans for new patterns, all of the above. So really excited about what's to come, not only this coming year, But in years to come, there's a lot of good stuff coming from Predator.
Yeah, and I mean, for us, it's always been going back to that breakup pattern, right? That's the historic look, whether you're talking about the spring greens or brown deceptions or fall grays. Yep. I mean, that breakup is really what's been so powerful for us in a tree stand. And right now, they're letting anyone use the code HUNTR on the Predator Camo website and get 20% off any of the lines, including all the new stuff that dropped here in July.
Be the Predator. I was in North Dakota 2 weeks ago, is that right, Lee? And I had we got one on the ground. My buddy Lucas shot a stud, 7.5-year-old, like mid 60s type deer, fresh out. It was awesome. That was kind of the highlight of the trip. Whitetail. Yep.
Yeah.
That night, we're probably not that far from you. We'll sync up after as to where you're at. That night, I went in and hung for a buck we'd seen a few nights prior, and we're hunting essentially waterways out there.
Yeah.
And I had my first close encounter of the trip. It was like the second to last night. And I don't know, 140-ish type frame, 10-point with a big kicker off of his two. So maybe a mid-40s, maybe 150 type deer. Full velvet, steps out. And I've got him at like 50. It was 51 yards is what I ranged him at.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm practicing out to, 80, 90 yards in the yard all day. You know what I mean? It's like I can make a 50-yard shot on an animal, under the right circumstances.
Right.
It was just like the last 10 or 15 minutes, and I'm like, I didn't recognize the deer right away, first of all, so I'm trying to judge the thing. The darkness is like setting in. I'm looking at my pin. I'm like, I can see the pin, obviously, but it's like, and then add the yardage on top of it. As we're sitting here talking about it, I'm like, I think I made the right decision. I never drew on him. I didn't take that shot, and I felt good about like that was the ethical thing to do. But part of me definitely is like, I could shoot 50 yards.
You make that
like,
shot.
Could I have made that happen? So I don't know. That's kind of living with me a little bit.
Well, you got to do what's comfortable for you. I mean, like you said, it's like I've had lots of things like that too, where I just don't feel confident and just back out. You better. Rather than to wound water and blow it, I'll just take my chances and try them again tomorrow. That's why I feel like on whitetails all the time at home. Like sometimes they might be like at 50 and quartering away or something, and you're like, out west I take that all the time.
Yeah.
But it's like I'm not gonna take a chance of him, reacting and me wounding him, and then losing him forever because he's here every day. I get to hunt every day. He's on my farm. I'll get him again. And so I don't take chances like at home like I do out west. I don't take shots like that. I wouldn't even say chances, but because I think they're very doable shots and stuff like that. But I don't take any. I take way less chances at home because I just figured, hey, I'm not here on a hunt for a week.
Yeah.
I'll catch up with them sooner or later. Let's just make sure when we do take a shot at it, it's going to be perfect.
Well, I think I'm just
have to.
Yeah, I'm not comfortable. I've never shot a whitetail at 50 yards. I'm like, I've shot my whitetail target in my yard a million times at 80 yards. I'm like, I know it can be done, but it's just
situational.
Yeah, I don't know.
I've shot a lot of them. I've shot a lot of them at like 50. I mean, to me, if they're just out feeding or something, and you just got to look at their body language and stuff like that. What you think you can get away with, and
which you said he was kind of alert. He was like, eyeballing the field, like, what's my next move?
Yeah, well, no, I mean, he was grazing through the waterway. I mean, he wasn't alert. He wasn't tense. He wasn't standing still either necessarily for a long time. I mean, the encounter was maybe 25 to 30 seconds that it took. I mean, plenty of time that if I made a decision to draw and shoot it could have happened, but.
Well, yeah, he's got to do what you feel comfortable with, that's for sure, Because if you hadn't, but likely like for me, or if you'd been sheep hunting a bunch and stuff, you shot a lot of stuff at 70 and 80 and 100 and stuff, you'd, maybe do it. But you gotta get there too to feel. You gotta always feel like you're comfortable with it.
Yeah.
But that's good that you didn't. I mean, really, I think a lot of people would do it not even having a 50-yard pin. Getting high 40s. That goes. But
Well, and what had me kind of second guessing it was I hunted it the next night, and I moved. We're hanging and banging every night. It's public land, and I picked a tree. It was only maybe 6 yards closer, and I'm like, seems silly. I'm like, is 6 yards going to make that big of a difference? I'm like, I think it was almost more
mentally it can.
Mentally, and also the darkness. I'm like, it was just that right on that tipping point where I'm like, that where he was standing at in broad daylight, I think I would have made that shot like 9 times out of 10. But just that darkness.
Like out here, it seems like they that's about the only times you see him is right at last light. A lot of times they don't move until late.
Yeah. So that's what it was. On
how's your whitetail stuff looking? You got anything big?
Yeah, well, I sent you the one, right? You're like, I think remember I sent you that big 4-year-old. You're like, yeah, there's 220 next year. Yeah. And I'm like, well, yeah. Probably not because I'm gonna stick one in them. But we've had a lot of developments. We had a lot of the neighboring acreage. It's kind of a long story, but my uncle sold a lot of acreage to a group of Amish folks who are basically flipping it. You know, they bought all the acreage and they're flipping it back out. Some they're cutting up. One of those pieces immediately neighbors us and has a chance of having that deer on it. And that's been an evolving process. You know, I mean, all the way. There's been multiple opportunities where we thought we might get to buy it. At the end of the day, there's another Amish gentleman that ended up with that. I've since made his acquaintance. Great guy. We've been able to sync up on stuff, but like we essentially came to the conclusion, like, hey, there's just even though that guy could be on the same page, there's other neighbors that I'm like the chances of this deer living are just like, just not going to happen. And so we put him on the table. I think that's like he's going to need targeted early. That's kind of where we're at with it.
Right.
He's big though. I think he's pushing 80.
Yeah, I do too. But I mean, you never would say anything to anybody about shooting that. I mean, because you have to get there. You know, I mean, maybe if you shot 20 other ones, it'd be easier to. But
it sucks too because that farm, maybe it's not every year, but every other year, and maybe it's a 3-year-old or 4. It's 200-inch genetics on that farm
all day,
every year.
I got to keep it in perspective. I'm like, I can not have fun trying to get these deer to 200 inches for the next 20 years.
I know it.
But I'm also I'm not an idiot. Like I realize the dynamic that exists. And a big part of that, Lee, is we got 5 or 6 guys that hunt on this farm. It's not just neighbors versus me. It's like, hey.
Right.
So I'm just one. I'm one of, and I have an influential voice, but I want everybody else to have fun too. So we kind of made a decision, and I've got other opportunities.
Yeah, you gotta look at that sometime. Like people come to our house and they're always so nervous. They're like, man, I want to shoot the wrong deer. I said, don't worry about it. I said, more deer will get hit on the road out in front of our house than we'll ever kill. I said, just go ahead and have fun. I mean, that's what hunting is about. That's why we all start, because it's fun. If it's nervous and you're worried, and and so many people I think just get so wrapped up in it that they're forgetting that they're supposed to be having fun, and it just becomes not fun anymore. So I always tell my buddies that come, said, don't worry about if you shoot the wrong one. If there's a real big young one, you're not even gonna be on that farm. You don't have to worry about it.
Don't worry. I won't put you anywhere
near. You're not there. You're not anywhere close to it. Well, Lee, with that said, I saw recently that you guys put up a couple of farms for sale in Iowa.
Yeah.
Just if you would, like, what was the thinking behind that? I guess I haven't seen you sell anything recently.
Right, and we normally never do. And part of it, I mean, a lot of it is because we were just 1031 and out to places out here in Montana. And a lot of it's just like basically me and my one partner, Tom, where I used to have like Tiffany's cousins and everything else. And then when they had the gun season, where, all the, you could get like the muzzleloader and the gun tags and stuff. We had like buddies come and stuff.
Yep.
And then when they, they closed that, for that,
close that loophole.
Landowners can't party, or non-residents can't party hunt and stuff. So that took out some of the guys that had them. They said, well, at least we can hunt every year, gun hunt if we don't, whatever. So now it's basically just down to me and Tom, and we've had like 14 farms, and it's like I just looked at it and I was like, I just spend so much time and money planting all these farms that I'll never even hunt.
Yeah.
I hunt 1 or 2 farms a year, and it's just like, it's time let's just move some of that out to Montana where I can go and hunt something out here.
Yep.
And so like we have like where our house is, we have like 6 farms that are real close to it. Like I can drive my electric Ranger, I can ride my bike over to them. They're like 3 miles away. Then we have these 3 farms that are like 20 miles away. And so those are the ones that we're selling, and they were like phenomenal farms that I've been waiting for those to come for sale for years. I knew the guy that had them, and it's just the whole area up there has just been locked up for like over 20 years. So like all those neighbors, there's a guy, Ken, that's got like 5,000 acres there, and all these guys that were friends of ours that we knew, that we met when we first moved there, and they had that whole area. And so all those guys have been there for 30 years. They've all shot 200s and giant ones. So there's no chance of like, you got a neighbor like, oh, there's a big 3-year-old that you're shooting.
Yeah.
Like if you get, that's the neighbor you don't want. Somebody like, yeah, I'm coming from out east or whatever, and I'm just I'm going to get a farm next to you and start managing. Well, their management is to put in food plots, shoot every big 3-year-old that comes in. Right. That's not the case up there. I mean, everybody's been there, this whole giant area. And they're just super genetics up there, big, heavy typicals and all kinds of stuff. And so I've been waiting a long time to get that. And so like a couple of years ago, one of the guys that was in that group, he had really bad health, and he just needed to sell it because he wasn't going to be hunting it anymore. And so we got it, and it's been phenomenal. But at the same time, it's like, well, we got to sell something. Just me driving around, driving tractors up there and everything else. You kind of hate to sell anything, but it's not, it's not right next to our house. Even though it's only 20 miles, it's easy enough to get up there. It's still, when you got to go mow and go do stuff and fill feeders and different stuff, it's just, I got to go drive 20 miles up there. So that's the reason why, because mostly it's just me and Tom hunting. So we have so much more than we'd ever could hunt ourselves anyway. And so it's like, let's just move some over into Montana here, which is awesome because we're out here. If I didn't, and like when we first started, we were sitting at home waiting for October 1st, and at least now we're hunting in August and September, and and then
awesome.
We got whitetails out here and pheasants like crazy. So I mean, just our dogs are so excited that we get a place where there's pheasants. So like, there are so many roosters out here, it's crazy. And we used to love duck and goose and pheasant hunting and stuff, and still do, but we just don't have a really great chance to do it. So now we can come out here and deer hunt, and then we can pheasant hunt and duck hunt and do all that stuff as well. We're out here, so it's hard to sell any, but we still have. I mean, at one time we had almost like 6,000 acres in Iowa, and it was like, it's just more than we could hunt, and it's a lot to take care of, and it's a lot of expense.
Mm-hmm. Well, like you even said about the return. Looking at your Montana farms, like they're financially from an investment side, they're returning better than those farms.
Right, and you just look at it, it's like, Iowa, all land is a great investment, let's face it. But, it went up so fast after COVID. It was like 3,000 before and 7,000 after. So you think, okay, well, if you're going to keep investing in land at 7,000 now, it's probably going to take, how long is that going to take to double? 20 years, 15 years, 10 years, whatever. But out here, you can buy stuff, you can find stuff at cattle prices, that are 1,000 or 1,500 an acre. So you could take 1,000 acres in Iowa and turn it into 7,000 out here, and I think that if you really, make these things into great hunting places, to sell for 2,000 is nothing. There's lots of good hunting ranches out here that are 2,500 an acre and stuff. I mean, I think you could double it in a year if you wanted to, but we're not, buying it to sell it anyway. I think it's just another good investment, a solid investment, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think it's, you just get, so if you're going to make $1,000 an acre on something, why not have 10,000 instead of 1,000?
Sure. Well, I think from a strategy standpoint, like let's even just put the finances aside and think just purely enjoyment in hunting, right? Like you've got 3 tags essentially in Iowa, and it's like there's only so many places you can hunt, with those 3 tags in Iowa at any given time effectively, versus like you said, you're going to do a lot of your hunting in Montana here in September, which you're not even open
yet. Some in November and stuff too.
Yeah.
But, we can get 3 tags in Iowa, but there's very few years that I've ever even shot 3. I mean,
right.
Shoot 2 maybe, maybe a couple of years there's management deer. But, you got whitetails out here, and I just love it because, like, even our Illinois farm, or if I used to go hunt with my buddies out in Kentucky and stuff, I mean, if they have an old deer that's like 150 inch, I'm thrilled and happy to shoot that as long as it's an old mature deer. I don't feel like I have to, you know, like at home, you're always looking, well, I need to try to see if I can find it like a 180 or 190 inch deer or something.
Mm-hmm.
When you go someplace else, like here, it's like, well, yeah, there's 200 inch deer in Montana. They shoot them every year, but you know, heck, if we can get a big mature 150 or 60, man, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
You know, it makes you excited to hunt deer like that. There's no pressure on, hey, I got to try to find a giant one.
Exactly.
Or something, you know. So I think it's just a lot, you know, you get to hunt more, you know, elk and mule deer and pheasants and everything else. So
what's the muleys? What's the muleys looking like on that place?
They're pretty dang good ones here. Now, our first place that we bought is next to a buddy of mine who owns Tacticam, Jeff Peel, and he's got some really good ones.
Yeah, I know Jeff.
Place. So I got to go over there and look at some more of those because, like, his place and ours and another big ranch is like 80,000 acres next to us that my buddy Wayne has it for lease for hunting. But he only, like, on that 80,000, he's very Wayne. Like everything that the Montana Hunt Company has, they're very like game oriented. It's not money wise. I mean, of course, you got to make some money, but they take like 6 deer off it, where other people would be taking 20, 30 people in there. So that whole area, like ours, and we've never shot one, and I don't think Jeff has maybe shot just a couple, but so it's a big area that they're managing pretty well. That there's a lot of old deer on it, but they for sure got. I mean, I've seen pictures of some on Jeff's and stuff that are, you know, 215 stuff on.
Wow.
Stuff that they shoot 200s on. The place that Wayne has almost every year too. I think they average like 180 or 190. So
jeez,
we get big mule deer there. And I hear this place that we have here, he used to take a lot of guys, a lot of buddies hunting, like rifle hunting for deer, and they shot a lot of deer. And so we haven't shot any. We just shut that down completely. And we haven't shot a single deer in 4 years. So now we're starting to get the age structure really good here and stuff too. There was a huge whitetail here that we were trying to even shoot last year. It was just an 8-point, but monster, like 168 point, you know. Yeah. And I haven't seen him yet this year, but I don't know, he might still be here, but maybe not. He was getting pretty old. Like he's probably almost 6-year-old last year, maybe.
Yeah.
We had the sheds off him and saw him since the first year we were hunting here, but he was big.
So, Lee, you can't do any food plots in Montana, period.
No.
Interesting. And so,
but, you know, the thing is, it's still like you can't grow corn and beans and stuff. I mean, you could under the pivot, but still we're just like it's way easier for us just to, you know, put in like barley and bale it up, and because it's all cattle country here, and sell the bales, and the same with the alfalfa and stuff. And deer and elk and stuff eat all that too. So,
yeah.
You know, having the pivots with good alfalfa and sandfoin and stuff like that, it's, you know, you can't say, hey, we're planting a food plot. It's not, I mean, because you can't, but it is. I mean, that's where they're eating in. So we're, you know, we're just planting those and probably get another pivot in and, you know, get some pivots in some key areas because we got plenty of water on the one place.
Yeah.
So we can get it, you know, put a smaller pivot up against like the mountainside, like where the timber side is, where they all file out on it. And it's, you know, you can't say it's a food plot, but it is. But it's really have it for income too. But which is nice because, you know, having none in Iowa, we got, you know, $300,000 or $400,000 in income on the places out here.
Wow, it's an interesting rule. Why do you think that exists? Like no food plots.
I'm not sure. I suppose they just, who knows?
I mean, Montana's pretty strict overall. Is there a trail camera ban or regulation?
Yeah, you can't have cell cameras on any public or private.
Wow.
Here during the hunting season.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and so like on ours, there's no place you got service anyway. I mean, there's no service. We have a Starlink is what I'm even being able to do this, and we would have 0 here at our house. But I mean, there might be some place on a mountaintop, but there's nothing. You know, what are you gonna get up there anyway? But that's why Tacticam has, since like Jeff lives in Montana, and that is there. They have on their app now. It's like hunt mode or whatever. So you can go into hunt. You hit the button, it shuts all the cameras off. They keep taking pictures, but they don't send them to you. And so, and it logs that time. So then when you're done with your hunt and go home or whatever, you can turn it back on. All those pictures will still, I think it'll still just send them to you. Like send them to you after you're gone.
Gotcha.
But if like a game warden or somebody stops you, it's logged. It's here's they were off during this time period when we were hunting or whatever. But I never use it because I don't have any of that.
Yeah.
On one of our other ranches I have a couple out, but I'm not hunting there.
Are you using SD cameras?
Oh yeah.
And how often do you check them?
Every 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
So I feel like the old days. I got my vacuum dirt bike.
Dude, I'd be like a kid at Christmas with that stuff.
I rode that dirt bike. Remember, that thing's a beast.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I got 2 new ones now that I have to go get them because those were like prototypes last year that he gave me, and so they got the new ones now this year. So they're over at the other ranch that I've got to go to, or Brantley's going to tomorrow.
Yeah,
because he hunted there and shot a bull. Everybody brought him. I'm going to leave these ones for him, and they were just going to use them over at that ranch or whatever, just to bust around. So I'll have 2 new ones, but
I think it was pretty cool.
Those are awesome. I mean, I'm telling you, go check camera, throw my helmet on.
Oh, dude, I bet.
Out it quietly, go through all the stuff. I pull all the cards and then come back in and see where bulls have been at, places.
All those elk just looking. There's Lee on his bike, just checking cards, just ripping.
He's like, you got like 5 feet of air that time.
It's crazy on these things. Like I got the electric Ranger right here, and
I have that too, man.
Phenomenal.
It's unbelievable.
We pull that thing up, and I have like a road, and I pull it up, and I hike up to the top of the mountains when we want to spot. I grab my spotting scope, and like some days you didn't see them in the morning, you didn't see the one that you're looking for the night before, and it's just kind of like I'm at a loss. I don't know where they're at. And so then I'll decide I'm gonna go in the morning. I'm just gonna hike up the highest mountain there, and I got a couple of mountains that I can get up high and see everything, and I'm just gonna see if I can spot them and just try to pick where they are because they can be anywhere. I always tell people like Tiffany when, well, okay, he was there last night, in the morning, he should be right there. It's like, no, it doesn't work that way with elk. It's like you work all day drawing on your Etch-a-Sketch where they're at, and at night, I didn't shoot them, just shake it up because they're never going to be in the same spot. I mean, they can be 3 miles away in the morning. I mean, sometimes they're close to where they are, but man, they can be totally different than what you think.
Yeah.
So I go up there and scout, but I can see half a mile down is my Ranger way down there. See there, and I see an elk coming. Twice it's happened already or 3 times since I've been here, and elk come walking over that road, and these bulls, oh geez, he's gonna go right at the Ranger when he clears the top. He's gonna get, see how he's gonna freak out on that thing or what. They don't even look at it. I mean, they've walked from me to that away from them. They didn't even look at it.
That's crazy.
It was all 3 times.
Wow.
And 2 of the times were with the same bull, but he had a bunch of cows in the same spot. They walk right by it, and they don't right down they were walking 10 feet from it, and they don't even pay any attention to it.
Dude, I love it. No gas smell. I use mine on all my logging roads because I've got mostly big timber properties. I can just creep in those logging roads and park it in the right spot and walk into my stand and it's dead quiet. Yeah.
I mean, it's so awesome because you get in there, like I said, you can hear it, you hear the rocks on the tires like that, but you get 100 yards from it, you don't hear anything. So It's nice going into the mountain ranges in here, and parking it and just getting in there, that you're not tipping them off that you're like a truck is coming or anything else. But that's why I just put up a redneck. I just called and I said, because I got my buddy Tom coming, and him and I bought my partner Tom that we bought all this stuff in Iowa with. We bought this new place over here together, and he hadn't bow hunted when I first met him, he bow hunted, and then he played football in Minnesota, and he ruined his shoulders. So he's had surgeries on both of his rotator cuffs. Both got big scars over both of his shoulders. And so he just couldn't do it forever. But now they got all the stem cell stuff that him and I hooked him up on, all that stuff. So we get all the stem cell stuff. He's feeling really good. So he's got him a bow again to start shooting. I said, look, Tiffany's got 24-inch draw and 52 pounds or whatever. She can smoke elk, no problem.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got 29-inch draw, and you just start at 50 pounds. It's nothing, for him to pull it. So he's been shooting. He doing really good with it, but it'd be nice for us. Let's just put a redneck up there. It might be easier for him. Like the first time hasn't shot any, and it's like, let's just, we got a water tank on an alfalfa field that they've been, coming to, and it's like, let's just put this redneck on a trailer and put it at 25 yards, and if they come in, they can hold your scent in so well and all that stuff, and just first time just to make sure that you feel like, oh yeah, I can smoke one. Let's just start with that. Not that we'll shoot one out of that. I mean, we can just run and gun them too, but to see how that goes. But it's like they don't pay any attention to a ranger sitting there. I don't think they'll pay any attention to it.
Probably not.
Not. So I put it out a couple days ago, and I put a camera out there, and so I'll have to go check that and see if they've been in there or not. But
yeah, that's exciting.
You kind of feel like elk. You should be, calling and hiking through the mountains, but it's not. It's fun no matter what. You sit on a pond, or you can sit in a blind. You sit anywhere, and they come in. It's still exciting.
What is it like right now? I mean, are you in what you would consider like getting towards peak rut? Like, I mean, are they screaming and rutting really hard? Yeah. Yeah,
and it depends like day to day, because it's like, it's funny because there's like 100 cows, all over, and you'd think that there'd be like a bell curve that a lot of them would be coming in at one time, but it doesn't seem to be that way. It seems like it's always like one or two.
Wow, interesting.
Like one or two. And so like it can be like they'd be going crazy like one night, oh man, tomorrow morning's gonna be unreal. They're just going crazy. You got the next day and it's like nothing. You're like you're looking like you don't hardly hear any bugling. You see the bulls, they're just out feeding, you see cows laying around. It's just like when one comes in that goes crazy and then it can be the next day nothing. But so far, I mean, they've been, since we got here, like on the 10th or whatever that was, every day they've been bugling pretty good, and there's always been like at least one or two cows. You can see that they're going pretty good. You see them bulls fighting and stuff. So it's been awesome. But this first like 4 days, we're just kind of trying to take a look at everything and see, which ones are here from last year, if any ones that we're looking for, and there's always new ones too. But so we've got 4 or 5, like pretty big ones that I think are mature enough anyway.
Yeah. So what's the plan, Lee? Will you guys stay out there just until you and Tiffany both kill, and expect to do that within a next week or two or something like that?
Yeah, we just give ourselves the month, and if it went into October, I'd do that too. But it probably won't. It won't take you that long. But the thing is, I got like Brantley coming tomorrow, and so I'll go over and hunt with him. Mm-hmm. For a day or two or whatever too, and then maybe pop back over here and hunt here, and then go back over there or something. And then when my buddy Tom gets here, at least he and I own this ranch that we just bought next to this one. So he'll be here. But I'll probably go with him a couple of days times too, because he hasn't, bow hunted in such a long time, just to help him. Like we were talking about the mistakes. I've been bow hunting my whole life, and I still make mistakes the first time I go out. He hasn't bow hunted in 20 years. So you just want to. He's going to make mistakes, but, you just try to minimize it if I can help him at all.
Well, that's pretty cool. So this will be his first bow hunt in 20 years?
Yeah.
Wow. Has he been hunting with a crossbow at all, or just mainly gun hunting?
Yeah.
Or? Okay,
yeah, he's hunting with a crossbow in Illinois, but you can't in Iowa. Mostly it's been gun hunting, because but he had a place in New Mexico when we first met, and I shot my first elk was on.
Oh, wow.
On his place in New Mexico, and he bow hunted some then. Hey, Tiff, can you grab that rack when you come out?
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I'll give you a sneak peek.
Yeah.
Yes,
please. Walk by, and it's...
Hey, Tiffany.
I gotta get it dried out, because I shot it with, with isopropyl alcohol with a syringe and stuff, got all the blood out. But then there's this stuff they call velvet lock. I was gonna try that. I probably shouldn't have, because it was really good before. I mean, the velvet was beautiful. And then when I sprayed that on there, it kind of softened it up again. And so when I had like a toothbrush kind of fluffing it up, it kind of peeled some of the velvet back. And so now once it's peeled up, it's always going to come off. But you have to put that in the sun like for
you're
like 72 hours. But it's been at like 2 days out in the sun. But then it rained for 2 days here in cloudy, so I've had it inside. So I got to get it out the sun. Now the sun came out and windy again.
Yeah, you have to let us know how that ends up for you. We've heard really good stuff about it. We've used it before,
but I think we in Dakotas we baked them. That one I baked it in the sun for 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, and mine was already stripped out, so it didn't matter.
Yeah,
yeah. Tiffany's was stripped out too, but this has a beautiful velvet still, and it had like white velvet on the inside. So when I just did it with isopropyl, man, it looked really good. And now it's kind of like the skin of the velvet is like black, so it's not like it looks like, when you shoot velvet, sometimes it's kind of oily and black. Sometimes the velvet just naturally, I've had mule deer, some are so fuzzy and some is kind of sticky, and so it kind of feels like sticky and stuff. But I think hopefully, keep it in the sun a couple more days and that skin will dry out.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, especially if you use the isopropyl alcohol first, just to flush all of that out. I think that's a big first step.
Yeah, just to get all the blood out, because you don't think that there's that much blood in them, but because it was pretty close to stripping out anyway.
Sure.
Because about half were out. But when I put it in the freezer, those first days I put it in the freezer, and it couldn't be like when you take it out the next day, it was just like big frozen blood, like down at the bottom where it had been draining down, maybe expanding or whatever, and expanded out the holes. But by the time I got to when I got the alcohol and ended up being like a cattle syringe when I got here, pushing it through, it was just maybe a little red tint to the alcohol when it was coming out. But I think a lot of it didn't have a lot in there anyway.
Yeah. So when you do that, first of all, you get that isopropyl stuff like on Amazon, or where do you get that?
I said hardware store. I went to
you can get anywhere, Walgreens or whatever. Yeah.
Isopropyl alcohol. That's just like
it's like rubbing
alcohol. Oh, okay. And then
it's not rubbing alcohol. It's right here. So this is denatured alcohol. So it's like a fuel
strip, like a strip.
Yeah, you don't want it's fuel. It's denatured alcohol because it's different. You don't want. I think it's not. You don't want isopropyl, because I was reading it up. That's something different. You want like denatured, or I don't know. You can look it up on, but the denatured was the one, and that worked really good. And it
just don't smoke near it when you're.
And then you're just injecting it with a syringe at the tips of the antlers.
Yeah, well, and that syringe like I got here, and of course we have cattle and stuff all over here, so they had like a big cattle syringe.
Yep.
There, and so that worked. It worked great with that. So I just did it in the tips. And like I think you're supposed to maybe like poke a hole in the tips with it and then turn it upside down and then do it like in the big veins in the base and have it all come out
those
tips.
ends.
But I didn't have a way to hang it upside down, so I just if I was going to do it again, I'd probably just screw it to a board and just do it in the tips and let it all come down, and it'll come out the bases and poke little holes on the back side of the base, not in the front, and the back, and it'll all drain out. Because right now when I'm shooting it in the tines, most of them were like stuck to, there wasn't even room for it to go anywhere because it was already kind of dried up on that. So I think if you did it earlier, if you just did it right through the tines, front and back and stuff, and it all kind of drains down the bottom and it all comes out the bases. But I think the way they say to do it is to hang it upside down or something and let it drain out the tips. But there wasn't much in it because it was pretty...
Yeah, so close.
It was getting pretty dried out. But I think that velvet lock, I'm assuming would work.
Yeah. I think it is key for. Number one is like the moment you kill that thing or like get it off is like you're supposed to spray it down as fast as possible, and then the key is really that time in the sun for it to like work its way through. But like you said,
it's still a little bit, still a little bit black. It was prettier before when I just hit the alcohol because it dries so fast.
Yeah.
Pushed it all out, and it was just fluffy, and it was beautiful. Now it kind of looked black and oily, but I've only had it in the sun for 2 days, but then it rained for 2 days.
Yeah, so what are you supposed to do? You can't do anything in those cases.
But I don't think there's any blood in it, so it can't. As long as it's on there, I think it will preserve that. And either way, when I'm done, I'll have them freeze dried anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the way we always do it. Just do it like what I can to get it home, and then just throw it in the freeze dryer to make sure. Once we're all right, my taxidermist will do that.
That's awesome. She got it there handy, or she can be a minute.
I don't know what she's doing. She probably got. No, Tiffany. She probably got sidetracked on something. Oh, squirrel. Oh, yeah.
No worries.
HUNTR Podcast is brought to you by Primos.
Dude, double bull blinds, the original doe can, and who could forget the iconic Magnum buck roar?
I mean, that in a nutshell is Primos for whitetail deer hunters. I mean, that buck roar is by far the best grunt call that's ever been made. I lost it in a CRP field in Kansas, somehow found it, and for the last 10 years, I've been notching every buck that I've called in with that call, and I can tell you there's a lot of marks on it.
There's been a lot of them over the years, man. I can recall. So my dad actually shot that 160-inch 8-point in Ohio a couple years ago. It was double bull blind. I just set that up a few days before, and we've had a lot of success out of those over the years. And so right now, you can use code HUNTR, HUNTR, for a discount off anything on the Primos website. That's primos.com.
Speak the language.
What's it looking like at home? Are you you coming back to some good deer? Or?
Yeah. Again, like some of my big ones didn't come back. I mean, the EHD stuff like last year, and I'm just worried about this year too, because it was, so wet. We had such a perfect year, and then all it just went dry again, just like last year.
Yeah.
But like last year, when it was so wet, I stopped feeding like the analogics because let's face it just gets expensive, and I got all those feeders every place, and I mean, I'm spending like over $100,000 a year on that feed with analogic, with the pellets and the mix I use for EHD, and it works really good. But about to go bankrupt doing it, and I'm okay with that. I mean, as long as my deer survive.
Yeah.
But last year when it was so wet, I was like, oh man, that's a perfect year. I can just run, I'll just run, corn in them, and then like every fifth time I put it out, and I'll put it in the pellets in there.
Yeah.
And then I had some die last year. Late, like they survive, like, but they're not dying until like November and December. And like some of my biggest ones, like that one I found with my one that I'd left, that he would have been 220s this year, I think.
Wow.
And just died in November, and I don't know. So
and are you thinking that's
like
an EHD thing, Lee? Like they just because we did get some of those warmer spells late that I don't know, midges cranked
up. It was so
up.
dry, so no, everyone got EHD around us, and I normally don't have that many die because I feed the pellet, the analogics pellets all summer, and we do a lot of other stuff too. Like this year, so we did all this stuff with water, with the pH defense and all that kind of stuff too. And I think if you got all the feeding side of it and the pond and water side of it, I think that you could probably control 80% of. I think you could stop about 80% of it with those two things. So we did all that this year, even though it was wet. I said I can't take any chances again.
Right.
But that's exactly what's happening again. Is just turn off super dry. So I'm glad that I did follow through with all of it this year.
Yeah.
So,
well,
yep, that's what I thought. No rack. He's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's just right here in the house. It'll be a minute.
Yeah. Well, Lee, Jeremy was reading a statistic off earlier that it's Kentucky that they're having it's a record rainfall year for them still.
Yeah.
Right?
So basically, it's the driest August in Kentucky's meteorological history, which is
ever,
like 130 years. But we're still the 6th wettest year ever as well
because of how much rainfall we had earlier in the year.
Yeah, I know Ohio's getting hammered.
Oh, dude, it is all over my farm right now, just all around me at this point. I feel it like suffocating.
You distracted us here for a little bit, but this whole morning we were just complaining about how it hasn't rained in 2 months.
Well, that's why I'm going elk hunting in Kentucky starting on Sunday. Is like that's my distraction. Is like there's just so much negative happening around the farms. I'm just like I need to go and focus on something else for a while.
Yeah, I know. It just like makes you sick on this stuff, And hopefully they'll start doing something for that because I think that is preventable. And a big part of it is that we see it just through the feeding, and it's obviously there's food everywhere. We don't put out feeders to kill deer over. You do it to try to keep them healthy and do everything that you can.
Right.
In the off season to keep them alive and keep them, give them hopefully they live a long time. But you see like some states okay, well, is it Kentucky? No more feeding just during the season.
I can't feed until August 1st.
Yeah, I'm just like, what are you doing?
I know.
That should be the exact opposite. Thank you.
Yeah,
but it's the exact opposite. I mean, you should be able to know because the way I look at it is if I can keep them healthy over the over the off season and keep them, you know, everything that you can. But I don't want them. I don't think they should be able to feed them in the hunting season.
I want to feed. I want to feed from February to August. That's when I really want to feed.
I look at all the improvements that come to hunting, like in my 30 years or whatever. I mean, look how much more accurate the bows are, the scent control, the camo, the, you know, just what we've learned from magazines and everything else. We have tons of advantages from what we had, 30 years ago. But like the animals don't have any other advantage. They're the same. No. It's always the same. Yeah. So I don't want to have an advantage over them. It's like we already have that. I don't think you should be able to feed. I don't want to have anything that attracts them to that. I mean, if you do the work and you put in your food plots and do all that stuff, you'll be rewarded. The thing that I don't really care for is like necessarily somebody who doesn't do any work and just go take a dump truck of corn and pile it out in the cow pasture, and they'll go shoot a buck that somebody's been leaving and passing them and putting in food plots, and they keep them healthy, and so you don't really have to necessarily do any work to kill them. You just put a corn pile out. Yep. Although a lot of them aren't killed on those, a lot of them are smart enough to that. But I just feel like we have enough advantages over them that you shouldn't have that. So we use it in the summer to try to keep them healthy and get maximum nutrition to them and stuff. And then they should be pulled out, and now you just hunt on your own. If you did all your work and you put in food plots and you got all this stuff there, you should be able to shoot them anyway. But I think that's just the exact opposite, because if you took the money and spent it as much as they have on like CWD, they'd figure out how you could cure it. Okay, where is it coming from? Is it coming from cattle? Okay, well maybe take that 70 million in the state or whatever, and let's give farmers ivermectin or whatever it would take to clear it so the cattle don't get it. And you could do tons of stuff. I mean, you can prevent it, and who knows what else if you put all the money into it, that the thing what you could find out about it, how you can prevent it. And maybe they would say, okay, we're gonna let you add this medication or something to feed, even though you can't. But say, okay, the vaccine from that they won't get it because they put all the money into CWD, and I don't say that it's not a problem, because it is in places, but for what they're finding a year, like, well, we found 3 cases in Wisconsin. Well, 3 cases. He spent $70 million on 3 cases. I mean, I got 30 deer that are killed on my highway right in front of my house. We're gonna put a pedestrian bridge over the thing and spend $30 million on it. I mean, it's just like, it's about time I think they'd take some of that and start figuring, because I think EHD you can solve. It doesn't sound like CWD. I mean, 20 years of research on this stuff, and I don't know one more thing about it today than I did 20 years ago.
There is no solution there. I think the hardest part for a lot of these states, and we were fortunate to talk with Jace Elliott, is the deer biologist of Iowa.
Have you met Jace?
Jace was great.
No,
he's great, man. We'll introduce you.
He's the man.
He's a great guy. But the hardest part for most of these DNRs is that they have to realize that the private landowner, for better or worse, is controlling the deer management of these states. Right? That's what it is. And when they're applying these landscape level changes or decisions or whatever, they're not thinking that way. They're thinking like, well, what is Joe Blow going to... Well, Joe Blow isn't managing for deer. He's not affecting the deer population. And so when they make those decisions, you basically start falling through the cracks of what they're doing is going, to your point, is going against what is the betterment for the herd ultimately. And that's the problem, so all the decisions just start coming down, and you're like, that doesn't make any sense. And look how much, and I'm not doing it to brag, but look how much time, look how much money we're putting into these animals that other people are benefiting from. Clearly, they're not in a fence, like they're benefiting from this work. But what you're telling me is going completely against what I'm trying to do, which is benefiting everybody else.
Right, exactly. But, it's like, I'm sure there is something. I mean, like for us, you can't medicate, you can't do anything to wild animals. So you have to do that's why the analogic pellets. I mean, they basically made kind of mimic the EHD vaccine in natural stuff. So it's
Yep.
not the vaccine. It's not as effective as that because you can't control how much they eat and all that stuff. But I can see how much it works, how many, when it gets hammered around us, it doesn't on ours.
Yep.
But see, those are the kind of things that I think that if you took the money that you spend, on CWD and say, okay, there isn't a cure for it. I mean, obviously nobody seems to. What are they doing? Well, we're just
Killing
monitoring,
and, and shooting them.
Okay, but what good is that doing?
Yeah,
I mean,
I feel like you could buy a lot of analogic pellets for $70 million.
You absolutely
and just distribute it to the public.
But I'm just saying, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of research you could do to figure out, okay, this can cure it. Okay, we're going to let people, landowners, we're going to let you put this on a corn pile, whatever the medication might be, and it's like a vaccine for them. Okay, we're going to let you do that this year so we don't lose 40% of the deer in the state this year. Or something. I mean, I'm sure they could figure something out that we could do to stop that, because that is preventable. I mean, there's already vaccines for it.
Yeah.
But like for CWD, it doesn't sound like there is.
There is no solution to it. They've admitted that. And the problem is that, and I've lectured these guys, and I know most of them, and they're fine, they listen, but it's like, even if, let's say, 20 or 30 years from now that our deer herd faces like a massive drop off because of CWD, hypothetically, the average hunters today, the ones in Ohio right now that were at meetings this week bitching like crazy, they won't care when they're tripping over dead bodies every year from EHD. They can't.
Yeah.
It's impossible for them to fathom what happens 20 or 30 years from now when every year they're tripping over dead bodies.
You're right.
They just can't do it.
I mean, CWD, if they think, okay, because you're going to feed, you're bringing deer together, and they're going to pass each other. Did any of these people even look at deer? I mean, there's a licking branch on every 20 yards on every dang field edge. Every deer goes, does, fawns, bucks, everyone goes and licks those branches. They're in the scrapes all the time. They're out licking each other. If you think you're going to keep them away from each other, they think like a feeder is going to make any bit of difference. What's the difference of a 2-acre food plot where there's a clover field where they're eating in there all day? But you look at the licking branches; they're licking at things. There's thousands of them on every property, and every one of them goes and licks those things.
Well,
you think that by having a feeder is going to keep close contact between them? You're crazy. You're not living in reality. I live right around 100 deer on my farm every day. I look at them every single day. They're constantly on those things. They're licking each other. Licking branch will be every doe will hit the licking branches. Fawns will hit the licking branches. Everybody does. If you think that you're keeping them away by not feeding them, you're nuts.
So this adding to the insanity of Kentucky already, and not letting you feed during the off season. So they have CWD zone in Western Kentucky. The last couple of years, you could not feed in those counties, right? That was the normal thing. Hey, it's a CW area, you can't feed it. This year, they're allowing you to bait, but you're not allowed to use gravity feeders. So you can spread the corn or do whatever you want on the ground, but you can't actually put it in a feeder. That's the rule.
Yeah.
It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
There are people they just don't have, there's no rhyme or reason or logic to it.
No.
I don't know what
there's no reason for it. Like, what do you think? That they're going to not touch each other when they're just eating off the ground? Like,
as much as I wholeheartedly agree with what you both are saying, if they came back and said, well, but to combat it, we're going to get rid of baiting during the deer season, I would say, it might spread it. It might have something.
Hey, okay.
It could. I can see your point.
Hey, if you wouldn't put in your work and put in food plots and nobody else did, because like now you can put a corn pile, but so can everybody else.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But now if it came down to you couldn't, it's just whoever worked the hardest. People like you and me aren't going to be affected by that.
Oh no,
it would be the best possible scenario. That's exactly what I would like to see.
They're just so scared. They firmly believe that they'll just lose half the hunters out there. Like half the people will just quit if they can't dump a corn pile out.
Are they crazy?
There's no way.
After talking to quite a few of them at this point, Lee, I think we just feel that most, maybe I would say, just they don't understand the dynamic of hunters. They don't understand how hunters respond to technologies and things like baiting in the season. It's like they'll sit there and say we have these issues like declining hunter numbers and too many does, and at the same time say that we think corn piles is the only way to like maybe combat that. When I think it's like it's the thing that's causing it. It's the reason that we're competing with each other. That's why we have no access. That's why nobody can kill does.
They're just running a camera over a corn pile, and they're like, a buck comes here every day. Why would I shoot a doe?
And it's like we've explained that to them step by step by step. And I'm referring specifically to Ohio, but there's other states that are doing it too. And I'm like, they're just like, I don't know, we don't think so. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. And you don't have an answer either. So,
yeah, it's crazy. I'm just glad that in Iowa, I think they listen a little bit more. I mean, because we have a real strong with like Skip and all the guys at the Iowa Sportsmen and all that stuff that they have the ear of all those people that need to, and they wanted to open it up for every landowner gets a tag and open up with crossbows and all that stuff. They've shut that stuff down immediately. So I think they listen. We probably have the best chance of.
Yeah. They do.
And that's why it is that way. I mean, it's like we can feed in the off season, but not during the season. I mean, everything is right about Iowa. Not that they had it planned that way. I think it just ended up that way. Yeah. Years ago when they made those laws, they weren't even thinking nobody hunted like they do now. They just got it right then by accident, but at least they've kept it that way.
I would love to know, because undoubtedly a big part of it does come down to crossbows. At one time, I want to believe there was somebody in a position of power at the state of Iowa that when everybody else was folding in and saying, yep, well, and it was lobbyists that was doing it, advocating for these seasons to come in. There was somebody in Iowa that said, not us. We're not going to do it.
Well, that's Skip. It was all those guys because they all wanted it. Because we get some guy, a lobbyist from Pennsylvania, come down and want to say, hey, we want to do this. But then if you don't say anything, that sounds good to a non-hunter.
They don't know.
State representative, they don't know. Yeah, that sounds great, man. They'll be telling you, more people will be able to hunt. Your family, your kids can do it. Everything. But then you get people like Skip and those people that got their ear and say, wait, hold the phone here.
Yeah, here's why
you can listen to this guy from Pennsylvania come in, but we're the ones that vote for you. And if you want to be a one-term, senator or whatever is making the decisions, you can go ahead and do that. But I'm telling you right now, you will be voted out. We are big enough, strong enough that we'll have enough people who will vote you out. And this is why we don't want crossbows.
And that's the only thing they care about is being voted in and making money.
So for sure.
We're not huge promoters of like our own podcast, but you should really listen to that Jace Elliott podcast. I'll send you the link, and I'll introduce you to Jace too.
Yeah, and I'd like to meet him because the other one used to be really good friends with us. I mean, he'd come over all the time, and we'd look at deer, and we'd talk about stuff. We'd look at the jaws on some that we've shot and to see what kind. But I haven't, that was years ago.
Jace is awesome, and he's
young kid.
He would be in the exact same wavelength that the three of us are talking.
Just no nonsense. Just like, hey, when he was talking, I'm like, holy shit, praise the Lord. I'm like, it's common sense. I'm like, why can't we get this out of any other states? So
I mean, it's like they want to talk about CWD and all the money they spend on stuff, but how many people is that affecting a year? I mean, it's people don't complain about it until all of a sudden EHD hits their state and 40% of the deer herd is gone. Yep. And then all of a sudden, whoa, man, it's a big deal. But, I mean, people have been dealing with that forever. Realize it's like, look, I mean, what are they finding for CWD, like, in a state? A dozen, 20? It's like, that's nothing. I mean, we've lost hundreds of thousands to EHD. Why are we worried about the 2 in this county that we were found CWD, and none of them were dead? They were all shot. Yeah. That doesn't mean that any of them died from it.
I mean, it's obviously
they can live with it for a long time.
It's obviously flavor of the week type stuff, but like for a while there, we were hearing a lot about it, and then it's been a few months now. We haven't heard anything about
Wisconsin's the only place that just like, if you're going to pay attention, they got it the worst, right? And there's 3 counties or 4 counties that have it the worst. And, I mean, per the research guys we even had on, it's kind of like flatlined here, right? It's like they've got 50% of the deer that they're going to test have it. But like, if you ask those landowners, like, they're not seeing a decline in populations. I mean, maybe they will at some point.
They don't die from it. I mean, they can die from it, but they can live with it for years. And what's the average age of a buck? It's probably 3 years old.
3 years old in Wisconsin, for sure.
It's not, they're dying with it, not
from
it.
That's exactly it. Yeah, that's the biggest thing that, again, there's the disconnect, right? From guys like us who understand, hey, this is what deer are doing, but listen, they're not going to make it to 6 years old in Wisconsin on average, right? They're dying at 2 or 3 from a vehicle or from a hunter. So they're going to get it, and they're going to test positive, but, like, they die. Like that's they're going to die anyways.
Yeah, you'd like to ask somebody, like, how many dead deer are people finding on their farms that have CWD compared to how many people are shooting? It's zero. It's like, oh, these ones already shot. Well, yeah, they were fine. They had it and they were fine. They can live with it for years. They can still breed and have fawns and all that stuff. So you don't see the population decline like you do with EHD, where it just wipes out the whole herd.
There's only been
but now you go to Alberta and CWD is like it's hitting mule deer and it's affecting them more. Like you talk to Cody Robbins, and he's like, I don't know if I'll ever see a big one in southern Saskatchewan again. But I'm not saying it's not a problem, but this doesn't seem to be that there's any answer to it. So if there's not at this time, let's just see if we can find an answer for EHD then, and work on
maybe
that,
it's
or
20
some
or,
of the money.
Yeah, maybe it's 20 or 30 years away. Like, I'm not saying that it won't be a problem, but EHD every year in some place is wrecking a deer herd. Like, it just is. Whether it's Iowa or Ohio or Kentucky or Pennsylvania, in one of those places every year, there will be a lot of landowners who are like, look at all these dead deer. It's almost a guaranteed anymore.
I was thinking about Lee in 30 years being like, I got a nice elk farm I could sell you guys. Smart man.
Yeah. Always staying a step ahead. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to diversify where you can.
Yeah.
All right, well, wrap us up with this, Lee. Show us the rack.
All right. I got to sit back a little bit. I don't think I'll fit it.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. It won't fit in frame, guys.
Click this thing into wide mode here.
Oh, my God.
Holy moly.
I mean, look at the base. You can see on the...
Holy cow,
can't touch my fingers
dude.
on there. And that
is...
But...
It does look like just oddly, like, it's super symmetrical in proportion to, like, those large bases. So, like, it probably doesn't do it justice just because, like, everything's massive.
Well, he's got this super deep fork on his left there, but then he's got that...
Yeah, tighter
that
one.
long...
Got a little drop kind of off the side there. But, yeah, I mean, you see your fingers here. I mean, I can't touch them right there.
Man.
And that's, 7 inches there.
How long are those twos?
What's that?
How long are the twos?
I think they were like 19.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like 12 on the 4 on that side. But it's just way, and I don't know if you can even tell on pictures like this. It's just when you hold it in your hand, you're like, wow. I mean, just the mass of it.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, and 29-inch beams on a muley.
Mm-hmm. That's what you don't ever see,
Super cool, man.
But yeah, back there, and it's just like, it's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, I've shot a lot of big stuff in my life. When I got on this, I was like, that for a typical, that thing is a monster.
I bet. I mean, his skull plate looks huge. So I guarantee, like, that body and that head, just like, he looked big, but just not huge.
Right. Because I just look at it, it's like, what is the world record typical mule deer? It's probably 220 something, I think.
Yeah, I would say.
227, like that.
Yeah.
But I just look at that and it's like, well, what if this had a matching 4 over here? It would be 220 something, and just, after deductions, or it could be, could
high
be close
2 teens.
To 20. Yeah, and it's like that could be almost, in the top.
Yeah, top 5, 10. Yeah, I don't know.
Like it could be dang close to, as big as they get.
Yeah, with no eye guards.
None. Yeah, you're talking a 212 with one of these. This one was an inch.
Yeah.
None of these are.
Yeah. So I mean. Jeez.
He's awesome, man. Very cool.
Yep.
That velvet does look awesome,
start.
man. Yeah, that's freaking great.
Even though I got lucky and it fell into my lap.
Hey, take it.
We'll take it.
And it screwed up. I didn't deserve it. I screwed it up, but it still worked.
We all deserve some grace.
Even Lee Lakosky needs a little luck every once in a while. That's it.
Right. 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 I shouldn't. I mean, I probably would have found him again and got him anyway. Because same thing with out there. I just spend as much time as I need to. Yeah. Because it worked out good because it's just a ranch there, and they used to lease that ranch out to an outfitter, but the ranch owned 2 tags, and then they just decided it's just too much maybe liability or whatever having an outfitter bringing people on every week and stuff. Said, well, we got 2 tags, we'll just have one of our ranchers get a guide's license and we'll do it ourselves where we can kind of keep more control over it and just not have people all over the place and stuff. And so we just do it that way. So it's really whenever we want to go. It's not, hey, you got 5 days or you got whatever. It's more, hey, we'll just go when we want to. If we don't kill one this time, I'll come back and
that's
whatever.
awesome.
So just kind of, So I would like that would have just stayed until I would have found him again.
Yeah.
I can see what you're saying, Lee, about that black skin. Like, especially from here, I can see it on his left 3 there.
Yeah, you see how dark it is there?
Yeah.
And it was just like the skin was, like underneath was just white. I mean, it was just really pretty. And then when I started, like there's a spot here like that, dude.
Yeah, I see it.
It was just perfect. It was all just beautiful. And this was like really white colored underneath there, like white. But I think once I put it on and let it dry out some more.
Yeah. Wonder if after some time it'll
probably
snap back.
And I'm sure they can fluff that velvet and stuff. So.
Yeah, I have been with a toothbrush, just kind of fluffing it up.
Just every night, night before you go to bed.
What are you doing? You're like,
hey, get off the pillow. I gotta fluff this for a second.
Yeah, and that little drop tine off there.
That's super cool.
Only non-typical is that little drop tine off there.
Well, it's cool how he's kind of got that same thing going on his fore on his left side there.
Yeah, a little squirrely.
He's just got little squirrely guys. I think I'm looking at it. The left side is what you're holding it with there, right?
Yeah, that has that little.
Yeah,
that's
that four right there.
That little four that it's like when I saw in that first picture, I was like, well, his four is small on that one side, but I thought he still like could be a high 80s type deer. But he just had a big frame. He was just big body, but you could see it was a big mature deer. And I said he had good mass, but I didn't think it was like a 7-inch base. I was thinking 6 would be big, and if you had 5s and maybe a 4 in the lap, but this was 6. It was like 7, 6 something. 5.5, 6 something.
Wow.
Yeah, I'd shoot that probably.
Yep, I do.
Cool, man.
Well, cool, man.
Yeah. Off to a good start with that. Anyway, now just hopefully we can knock out a good elk and get back to whitetails.
There you go.
I've got a few. Like I said, even with the EHD and stuff from last year, lost some of our big ones. I still have. I left. Like 3 of my big ones last year, and like one of them hasn't. The one that was at my house, and maybe I told you guys about that one. I had a picture of him like 3 miles away on one of my other farms, and he showed up there and just stayed. Now I haven't seen him yet, but he didn't come around until October last year either. So I have hope that he'll show up. And then I have one big 6x6 went backward. He's bigger in the frame, but he's like a 6x5, and the 6 point, both the 4 and the 5 are really short, where they were long last year. So I would leave him no matter what. So you know what he's got. Then I've got the other 6x6 I left is just a 10 now. He went to a 5x5, but he's getting pretty old. So I probably just, if somebody wanted to, maybe he's like 6. And so I don't know, maybe leave that one. But I got another 6x6 on that same farm that's really big frame and stuff. So, and I've got 2 others that are probably in the maybe 180s or something like that. So no 200s this year yet, unless that one could at my house, but I'm still happy with if I can get a 180-inch.
Yeah. Heck yeah. The indecisiveness around what deer to shoot always cracks me up. I love hearing you talk about it. You're like, I don't know, this one's not 197. I think give or take it. Maybe next year.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, hey, if we ever,
one of those that we sold has a really big one on it last year, and he's there all the time this year too. And it was like a small piece too. It's like 130 acres. I was like, oh god, I hate that. And then a guy bought it we have like 2 of them that we were selling, and one's like a 200 acre in a house. One's like a 100. That guy's gonna be. It's gonna be awesome for him. I don't know who it is. I just kind of stay out of it and stuff, and just let.
Did both of those sell, Lee, or just that one?
What's that?
Did they both sell, or just one so far?
Yeah, I sold 2 of the 3.
You sold 2 of the 3.
That big one, that 450 acre piece is still left.
Gotcha.
But the 2, a guy bought the 2 of those together, so it was like a 210 and a 140.
Oh, that's a nice one.
Those, and they're close together, so it'd be nice. Like you said, you can kind of hunt 2 different places, because you grab genetics from different places. But that small piece had that big one on it last year, and he's still there like every day this year. I was like,
wow.
Obviously I sent pictures to, Ben from Whitetail Properties, so they saw it. But that thing's there all the time, so that would be like a big typical. He's gonna be that Boone and Crockett for sure, and So hopefully they got tags this year and going.
Yeah.
But even if they don't, I'm sure you'll still be there next year.
Yeah.
But that's why we bought the places. It's a small place, but all those deer make it every year, so you know that their neighbors don't hunt, or they're good. They know what they're looking at or whatever. But since we've had it, none of the deer, everyone that I've let go, makes it through. So even though it's small, that is a money spot.
Wow.
Well, we're back
I hate to lose them, but
we're back in the cycle, Lee. So maybe by the time I'm 40, we'll get to come back and hunt Iowa again. I'm 32 now, so
just gotta move. You just gotta
I know.
move
I know the answer. It's a hard one to swallow.
Yeah.
Is it just Iowa this year, Lee? Or are you going to be Kansas at all, or?
No, I didn't put in for Kansas, because I figured I'd probably be spending more time whitetail hunting and mule deer hunting out here in Montana. So once we shoot one there, we got our Illinois farm, and then out here and stuff. That's enough. It's hard enough to even get around to those places. So
cool.
I didn't put in for Kansas, but I probably will next year.
Awesome.
We'll just have to have Lee find us a 640 or something in between all his Montana pieces out there.
Well, Lee, you may not know this. I'm not going to put you on the spot. What do I have? I have 4 or 5 points in Montana for elk.
Oh, you'd get drawn here for sure.
For elk and muleys, I believe. For sure for elk. I think I've got 3 or 4 points for
muleys.
For muleys. Well, after we hop off the podcast here, I've got some family out there. I want to touch base and see kind of exactly where you're at. But
we'll wrap this up and make sure it uploads, and then you guys can chat offline.
All right, cool.
All right. Hold on one sec, Lee.
HUNTR Podcast is brought to you by Bushnell.
Man, what an iconic brand. I mean, I vividly remember growing up, it seemed like every serious deer hunter had a Bushnell pair of binoculars or Bushnell rifle scope. You knew that those guys were serious about what they were about to go with if they were packing the Bushnell stuff.
No doubt, man. I remember Bone Collector guys and so many others that we've respected over the years. It's always been like your grandpa's rifle scope. And since then, obviously, they've developed so many great products. We're rocking the R series of binoculars this year. I believe it's the R5 10x42s. Those have been awesome. We took those to TAC a couple weeks ago, along with the Broadhead rangefinder. It's got a ton of technology packed into it for angles and and for bow hunters ultimately. So that's been awesome.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things, we've talked about this with a lot of the brands we're working for, is we want high quality gear that's affordable, and that's exactly what Bushnell's trying to position here. They want to make really good gear that anyone that's serious about deer hunting can afford. And so most of those R5 series binos that we're talking about are under $300 for unbelievable glass.
No doubt. And so for right now, you can use code HUNTR, HUNTR, to get a discount on the Bushnell website. That's bushnell.com. I'll say it again. Dude's living the dream.
Living the dream with Lee Lakosky.
Pretty awesome.
Just hanging out in Montana.
Well, friggin' working hard. I mean, it's not nothing. I don't want to discredit that he was hunting this morning and then took time to do a podcast with us, and then he's gonna
no
nap.
No,
just,
no
he
nap.
was eating
just
ice cream.
Just ice cream. And afternoon ice cream.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think he still is, and obviously the film aspect of things, and like I know they do still a bunch of trade shows, but like, cool. It's funny, like obviously we got to stop by him and Tiffany's house on our way home from Iowa, which was awesome. And I guess it was before that we had him on the podcast, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, that was the last time we talked to him. And like, even going through like, hey, what are you after? What are you doing? Like we joked about, like, I think there was like a 190 that he's like, I might let Tiffany hunt it, because like I'm not sure if I really want to hunt it.
Right.
The dude's like energized over this Montana and elk. Like, you just see it like pump life back into like the newness and the uniqueness of like doing something different, that he knows he's going to mess up some things and he's not sure how this is going to turn out, and he's like, do I let this one walk or what happens? And like, I think he was so good at it from a whitetail side that he got to a point where it's like, where do I go from here?
I think that's accurate. And also, dude, whitetail hunting just beats you down.
It does.
It's freaking like it's just so.
Well, just think of how many people, like if you find a 200-inch buck, right? Let's say you're in Iowa. That's fine. You're in Iowa. You find a 200-inch. Just think of how many people are trying to kill that deer.
Sure.
It's not just you.
Well, not just how many people, but just the odds of them living, and do you have access to the property there? Yeah. It's like there's so many factors.
It got hit by a car. Oh, EHD killed.
That's what I mean. There's a lot of be prepared for heartbreak if you're going to be serious about whitetail hunting.
That's what seems so cool about the elk stuff, and I get it from a pressure side, but like. He's like, yeah, I want to get these elk to 8 to 10, and he's like, these elk are 7 right now, and like and it's like, dude, that's like 7, 8 years, like that's a long time, and it's cool to like these 4 years he's been working on it. He's like, yeah, we saw these elk just are continuing to come back, and like, I'm not saying that you can't do that on the whitetail side, but it's decreasingly common. In terms of like what you can accomplish by letting deer walk year after year because of parcel sizes, because of things like EHD and deer vehicle collisions, and all of these things that are working against. I mean, everything is against this deer living. Mm-hmm. And so for it to walk by you and then still survive, or like the odds are not good, even if you're in a state like Iowa or Kansas or whatever. So yeah, it's for, I think, a guy who I would say, kind of he really likes to observe and watch and learn and what's going to happen when I don't kill him this year. And that's a kind of a next level situation where you can't do it that well on whitetails anymore just because of everything working against you.
Well, I don't think he's having any less success. It's just, in that case, it is more what you said there originally. It's like, he's been really successful for a long time, and it's like, yeah, who wouldn't want to, introduce a new challenge on top of he's obviously, his gears are still turning on, what's happening on the home farms there and stuff. But yeah, dude, there's a lot of stuff to hunt out there. You know what I mean?
It's exciting. It's new terrain. Well, like even he said, just, no knock to Iowa, but it's like, do you want to just be sitting around Iowa in September when you can't hunt and it's like
what's the point?
Warm and or spend the entire month of September in the mountains of Montana?
Yeah. Well, and as us having had some like a few experiences, getting to do, I'm like, absolutely, that's what I would want to do. So I mean, I don't blame it at all.
October comes in, you go back to Iowa and kill the shit out of them.
Muleys are at where it's at there too, man. That's freaking.
There's a bit awesome. Of a heroin in the vein there on the muleys for sure.
I know. I'm super bummed. I mean, I've kind of replaced.
Yeah.
Wrapped off my tourniquet here from the, by still getting to go to North Dakota and do the whitetail thing, but it's not the same fix. It's not the same thing as.
I mean, I will be blown away if we don't draw next year.
I'll tell you what. We should go. We should just make a point of. I mean, you can go. There's over the counter places you can go. There's places like that we're looking at that I think we can guarantee it. Essentially,
sure,
anybody can.
Yeah.
Instead of just waiting, who knows? It could be 8 years before we get to go back to North Dakota.
Yeah, so. Maybe. So, but yeah, that's the beauty of that early September time frame is to go out and to chase muleys and fill the West, in your veins. And
I've got a good lead for us. I'll follow up on that sooner than later and see if we can make a place for ourselves.
Cool. Other than that, we appreciate everyone listening to episode 274 with Lee Lakosky, Living the Dream with Lee Lakosky. And we will catch you guys on the next one.
Later.
Take me